Welcome to Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan.
We have Samantha. How you doing, Samantha?
It's been a rough morning.
It's been a rough morning.
We can recap if you'd like to. We're not going to introduce him yet. We're not ready for his segment. Well, I'll introduce him, but we're not going to do his segment yet. But ladies and gentlemen, our good friend Ennis the Penis is here. He's sitting on the couch. He's in person this time.
Yeah.
Which
You can look at those luxurious locks in person.
I don't know who signed off on this, but I've never felt more unsafe.
I did go to the dentist this morning.
Man.
They scraped the crap out of my teeth.
That's because you don't brush them.
You bought a giant cookie cake to celebrate?
Yeah. That's what
I don't think
everybody does.
that's
It was basically for Butler mostly.
Let's
just to see if I want to get him fat because it's not fair that he's almost the same age as me and he looks so good.
I'm gonna get my gums real bleedy.
Yeah.
And then shove some chocolate into it.
And then I'm gonna get a big cookie. We'll all bite out of it. They're like,
Who wants to share this blood cookie?
I just bit Enos's blood bite. Gross.
Oh, I'm gonna have to rip that part off because Enos made a blood bite. Oh man. I didn't get corona, but man, I need a breather now because I am crazy.
Actually, probably worse.
This is bad. This is bad. The worst that would have happened with COVID is a couple of little coughs.
Yeah.
This herpes is a whole. This is uncharted territory.
Yeah. Hank's got the corona.
How long does an outbreak last? Good thing I have this mask to cover my sores. You can't see my sores because I'm wearing it appears that I have Elmo's mouth. Hey, stop those! If you have one of those, throw it in the trash right now.
I have Hulk.
I'd rather you spit in my face than see you wearing an Elmo mask. Oh, look, I'm Hulk. Oh, look, I'm Captain America. No, put on a nice black mask like everybody else to show everybody that you hate this.
I have the Hulk one.
I don't want Hulk.
Stop having fun with it.
I don't want any fun with it.
Just do the Biden.
Yeah, do the Biden.
Straight black with a presidential cigarette.
First, you gotta put on a black mask. Trump says he can kiss his ass. Do the Biden.
So we got to get back to Samantha's truck.
Oh, yeah. So Samantha came in here and she's
God
like,
damn it.
she
Well, it
keep you on
started
track.
yesterday.
All right, slow down.
All right. Yeah. So Samantha gets in there. She's pale. Shook.
Shaking.
Yes.
I was shaking.
Rattled.
Panic attack for sure.
Shaking.
Yeah. And then she's like,
Quiet, reserved, scared.
she's like, my truck, it stalled twice on the way here at stoplights, and I thought it was done. I was gonna have to people were gonna be
The
honking.
middle of Cimarron.
Oh, yeah. In the middle of morning traffic.
3-lane.
Everybody's wearing their masks.
Mad. Oh yeah. And I feel like people are less likely to help nowadays because of the pandemic, so they don't want to get out of the
I'm
car.
not helping nobody.
Because and then for a lot of reasons, then they're pushing you, and then you're like, I'm sorry. And
Stay in your car.
Yeah. Anyway, so you showed up, your car made it here, but it was
Barely.
obviously there's got some problems.
Last leg.
So then I was like, well, just follow Butler up to Gillis. It's right up the street, Gillis Automotive in Winter Park. We use them all the time. And then I was like, well, what if your car breaks down? And then now you got you and Stoney Baloney pushing this.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, it
Did you see what I did? I was like, bye, guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bye. See you later.
So
I was happy. I had a cookie cake. I just sit here and wait for the hijinks to begin.
So I figured I'll drive your truck. That way, if it breaks down, I got two balonies pushing, and then we'll push.
Yeah, that's the one thing about baloney.
Yeah. We like pushing.
Yeah, I'll push.
So anyway, I got nothing.
I was so concerned you were going to hit somebody in the back.
Yeah, the brakes don't work, bro.
Yeah.
The brakes.
I forgot to warn you about that.
You gotta really lay into them. Yeah. Well, your legs are not as long as Samantha.
Yeah, I got those long legs.
Samantha got them long legs, powerful woman legs. She's pushing on that brake, man.
I'm like
Superman. Yeah, and she's been doing her spin bike.
Listen,
she's not got potato stick legs. She's got nice,
I don't miss leg day.
bicycle legs.
If you haven't driven an old POS in a while.
Yeah.
Like you get used to driving new cars fast.
My car drives itself.
Yeah. Like I've
Power steering, power brakes.
Power everything.
my first new car was the Subaru Forester that I got. Like what was that? It was before or right when Tommy was born, so 6 years ago, right?
5 or 6.
So in 6 years, I've been driving basically brand new cars, and you get used to that.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I got in that goddamn death machine, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" I was
Every
like,
day.
"It is like driving the '90s." It was like, I'm like, what?
Don't
I'm like,
besmirch the 90s. They
no,
were a
I
good
know,
time.
but I was like, "This is like a time capsule," and then I'm like, how is this happening? And then,
baby, I think I love you.
oh man,
From head to toe.
and the engine is
That just
Struggling.
barely working.
And that's the present you gave to Samantha, your coworker.
Yeah.
Wow.
No
After-
wonder she's got anxiety.
After 6 years of working here for free,
I
they gave me
know.
a griff truck.
It was a lot better when we first got it.
Yeah, that thing
Yeah.
was cherry.
It was scary.
So it's Samantha's fault that everything's falling
I
apart.
didn't
is what
say
you're
that.
saying.
I'm not a victim shamer, but I'm just saying there are people that know how to take care of a fine automobile, and there are people that neglect them.
Also, it was when we got you that it was closer to me not like the length of time I've been driving new cars was less.
Yeah.
So when I got, it, I was like, this is good. This is
Yeah.
fine. Oh, now it's bad.
Yeah,
Bad.
now it's real bad.
And when I was not only the brakes not work very well at all.
How's the stereo?
I didn't even bother
Air
turning it on.
conditioning?
Air conditioning,
No,
fine.
it does not. Wait till it's high noon and get in that thing.
And the transmission, every time it changes a gear, it's like someone hit the bottom of the car with a sledgehammer. And it almost shook my sandals off. I was like, oh my God. Like a goblin is hammering the bottom of this car. And then, at every stoplight, it's like, I put it in neutral, and then I was trying to rev
Rev the
it
engine?
to keep it going, but somehow it was dying and revving high at the same time.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does that.
I'm like, wait
I've
a
never
minute.
heard of that feature.
I'm like, it's like, yeah, high rev. It is like, I was like, how are you dying on the bottom end, rev high? And then I put it back in a gear, and I was like, go. I'm like, oh.
This is accurate.
What's Butler doing at this
He's
time?
wrecking the
Oh,
transmission for sure.
He's looking at I'm looking in the rearview mirror, he's laughing. That's awesome the whole time. Because I called him and I was like, dude, I'm like, this thing ain't gonna make it. I'm like, be prepared. He's like, I'm like, I don't want to push, so just ram me in the back.
Oh my God.
And then,
Yeah, he could do it. That truck, his truck is a
Yeah,
tank. That
I mean,
thing's unkillable.
Not too hard, but just go up to
Just
the
give it a
back
little-
of bumper
yeah.
and just push me out of the road. Anyway, that thing was a mess. I showed up to Gillis. And then I told Travis Gillis, I was like, listen, this thing's the worst thing you've ever seen. and he's like, I know. He's like,
I've seen it before.
He's
No.
worked on it a couple times.
he's like, it's doing the same thing.
I'm the
Oh, yeah.
professor holding it together.
I'm like, it's doing it. Anyway, so he's gonna fix it, but I think you should start
Shopping.
shopping the internet for
What
a
do
new
you
car.
think?
Yeah, I
What are you
gotta start
thinking?
shopping.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I'm thinking. I think.
My brain hurts.
I think we got to get her a Polaris slingshot.
Geo tracker.
Yeah.
It's something 3-wheeled. Man, that thing is bad. Real bad. Oh, real bad.
How about a
I've
golf
never
cart?
had a new car.
How
so
about my mom's monster truck golf cart?
That thing's nice.
Yeah, it is pretty nice.
As long as you stay, you can.
Stay on the sidewalks would be all right.
Well, no, I know a guy that just made his golf cart street legal, and
He's the most upstanding citizen.
How do you get the insurance for that?
oh yeah, no, it goes.
It's legal.
It's under the guides of
It's like-
homemade car.
Oh, okay.
So but it has to.
You had to put, like,
What the hell? I didn't even know that was a
Does it have to be
thing.
agricultural? Does it
Tom
have to have
said
the
that
big
like it's a
orange
thing.
stripe?
Right.
It
It's under I think it's under section 4 of
Yeah.
homemade car.
Yeah, it's like a homemade trailer. I know all the things.
Never
You don't
heard
know.
homemade car. I'm not
Yeah.
saying you're a liar. I'm just
Yeah.
saying you expected us to know what that is.
Yeah.
Homemade car.
And then
I would have believed you said agricultural and it has the little orange triangle in the back. You
Oh,
fine,
God,
yeah.
you got to take it up to Seminole County and.
Oh, it's a Seminole thing.
and
you
then-
wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
then you got to get it.
It's a whole nother world up there.
Inspected to make sure it's got brake lights and then it's got a license plate lights. Anyway,
Okay.
so
You
let's
wanna
do nerd talk. Okay.
Oh, God. He's here live, everybody.
Nerds. Nerds. Nerds.
Jock, nerd, jock, nerd.
It is Nerd Jock with EJ How you doing, EJ?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
So, we're live today. What do you want to do first?
I don't know. There's a lot of nerd stuff, so let's start with sports.
All right.
And get that out of the way. You know what? Let's go for an old story. A very old story. It's over 100 years old. There's this baseball player called Ray Caldwell. He was struck by lightning in the 9th inning when he was pitching. They revived him, and he finished the game.
And then I think we vote him athlete of the world, right? Like, that guy's the coolest guy in the world.
Then, 19 days later, he threw a no-hitter.
Really?
Oh, because he got anointed by God.
Probably.
So,
superpower.
That's a rad story, dude. Where's the movie on that?
Right? He's a Cleveland Indians pitcher.
That would be an awesome movie.
Against the Athletics.
And you do it a kid movie. You do it like a Disney movie.
Yeah,
and
like
you get
Angels in
somebody,
the Outfield,
you got to get
almost.
somebody big to play. Who's lovable enough to play that guy?
John Cena.
they're too buff.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
But
too
it makes
big.
sense.
But
Him
back
getting
then-
struck by lightning and surviving it,
Here's
maybe.
you ready for a hot take? John Cena with hair? I can't do it. When he has hair, he looks like he has like a disease.
But he'd be wearing a hat most of the time because he's a baseball player.
Okay,
So
I
you
see
can get
that.
away with it,
I think you got to get.
A young Tim Robbins would have been perfect.
Shawshank Memories.
He aged out of it. So did he get I know it probably
Oh, we
didn't
have the same birthday.
say.
Who, you and a young Tim
Ray
Robbins?
Caldwell?
Ray Caldwell.
Oh, wow.
The baseball player.
Okay, so did he get struck directly by lightning, or did lightning
Did he hit near him? I don't know.
Yeah, because
It says it knocked him unconscious.
Yeah.
Well, that could still be
Because
from
think
like,
about it. He's the highest on the field because he's on the mound. The mound is another 4 feet above the surface level.
you can
so
be concussed, though, from just something hitting near it, right?
yeah. Like
yes,
shell shock.
And I think if you got directly struck by lightning, I mean, it'd blow your gloves off. With your hand in it, it'd be instant death, right? I know.
Hopefully, as a
people that
pitcher,
have
you
lived-
weren't wearing 2 gloves.
Yeah.
But I mean, there has been people that have lived through lightning strikes, but usually
Absolutely,
it's indirect, or did this thing, like a bolt of lightning, go through his head down to the ground?
Doesn't lightning come up, too?
Something, I guess it meets. I don't know, but that is insane.
It's a crazy story, right? I saw it the other day, and I was like, "That's a great story. It has to be talked." Because it was 2 outs in the 9th inning. They revived him. He pitches to the next guy. The guy grounds out, finishes the game.
There's got to be a script laying somewhere.
There has to
about
be.
Because that's just.
And then he throws a no hitter the next time he pitches. Basically,
do we know anything else about him? Was he a bad guy? Because
he
sometimes
was a member of the 1920s Indians.
he was a
World
horrible
Series team.
racist man.
Well, probably 1920s.
Well,
more
imagine-
likely, he didn't think like we did.
He was famous for throwing a spitball pitch, which I guess was later not
Deemed-
allowed.
Yeah, illegal. Yeah, you can't do a spitball anymore.
But I don't know what that means, but
It
they
means you
literally
spit COVID all over the ball. And you start winging it at people.
You would literally
Old
put
people.
saliva on the
Some
ball.
kind,
right?
some kind of lubricant or something like that. On there.
So imagine telling this guy that players miss games because they want to see their baby being born. imagine how mad he'll be.
Oh, God.
Or any other he's got turf toe.
Yeah.
Or some sort of I have a bruise on my thigh.
I just got back
Soft
from World
tissue.
War I and
Yeah,
got
yeah.
mustard gas, but I'm going to pitch this inning. And he pitched the whole game because pitchers back in the day, you had to pitch the whole game.
He got so no matter how bad the lightning strike is, he was knocked unconscious. So it was it wasn't just that it got near him or scared him, or it actually electricity went through his body.
Oh, this is a real man for
a
sure.
doctor assessed him, and it said the damage. They found he had slight burns on his chest, and speculation was that lightning had hit the metal button on top of his cap and surged through his body, exiting through his metal
Whoa,
spikes.
it hit the brain
Oh my
on the top
God.
of his baseball hat?
and came through his cleats.
Oh, so that's why it was
That's
maybe,
why I always wear a flat brim hat and cleats, no matter what. I've got cleats on right now.
Dude, he had burns on
Not
his
today,
chest.
lightning.
And
It's
the
like
guy-
a Faraday cage.
The guy finished pitching with a burned chest. He got struck by lightning.
But
Real man.
it also came through the tiny little nut on the
Oh,
top of
he'd
his hat.
push
That's
all
so
of us
cute.
down for sure if he's met us.
Oh yeah. And
He was
imagine,
also a littler guy because humans were smaller back then, right?
imagine telling
I
him
think
about
so.
concussion protocol.
Oh yeah.
Concussion.
Another thing, when I watch these
struck by
videos,
lightning.
when I watch the videos of these old baseball players, it's also amazing because their uniforms appear to weigh at least 75 pounds of wool.
Oh yeah,
Like,
they're so thick.
They're just draped in lumpy wool, and like a lumpy wool hat, lumpy wool shirt, lumpy dumpy wool pants, tucked into dumpy socks, and then they get out there and play.
And those horrible looking gloves.
Yeah. Dumpy wool is hard to run in. They're hot.
You're like, it's like the equivalent of you wrapping me in a wool comforter and telling me to run down the road.
It's like dressing up like Grimace and playing baseball.
You've also had the equivalent of 2 full cans of caffeine, or I'm sorry,
No,
nicotine.
cocaine probably, because the cocaine was in Coca-Cola still at the time. That's the way they could do it.
But you had so much nicotine coursing through your body because you were dipping so much. Like those guys would do a can of dip a game, right?
At least.
Yeah.
He said the experience felt like someone hit him on the head with a wooden board.
Oh my God.
Which, hey, you know what that shows me? Not that bad. Right? Because he's like,
I'm going to start playing outside in the lightning storms.
He didn't say it felt like the devil coming out of my BH. He didn't say it feels like acid is ripping off my skin. He said it feels like somebody hit me on the head with a wooden board. Not that bad.
Yeah, it said wooden, not metal.
Yeah.
Metal were worse.
That's what I'm saying. What else you got?
Well, we definitely got to talk about Tom Brenneman. I think you guys did talk about him.
A little bit.
Yeah, about the Reds guy. Why are you talking like that when you're an open mic?
Well, why are
you guys
talking
all
like
know
that?
better.
It has to be.
Too.
There's one of two things. Either you're so dumb because that you don't realize that you should never like talk if things you don't want people to hear anywhere near a mic because it could be on at any time. Especially those guys that other people control that usually.
Yeah,
they have an on-off button, but like the producer usually can turn it on. So it's like there's no like fail safe where you shut it off and put a cap over it. And then, or you talk like that all the time so much that it was a matter of time before you got caught.
Who was the producer that they yelled at this producer saying, "Don't screw me about that"? I remember you guys interviewed someone that was talking about that. I can't remember who it was because he's like, "Don't screw me over on leaving the mic open," or something like that.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember who it was.
I think there's been some,
but I think it's happened in the past. That's what I was like, So you got to be careful with that. But why would he say Kansas City is that way? I can understand maybe San Francisco or.
Well, because you're so intolerant that any
place that has a gay scene
is
probably,
liberal.
There are a lot of people country folk that would think you're New York, Chicago, LA,
known for those places.
Any of those places, any city that has
like a gay borough,
or an underlining just a level of culture. It's almost like
that is tolerant. They think it's that way. Okay,
dude. Anybody from the country would go to they would say Orlando's a gay city. They say Tampa's a gay city. Miami. You know what I'm saying? It's just big cities, like whatever. And so. That guy's just ignorant, and it's like, hey, buddy, you messed up. It's like you can apologize.
I hate the apology though. You meant that stuff when you said it. So and it wasn't even a joke. So it was like
you apologize for getting caught.
Yeah.
You didn't apologize. You didn't say like I need to rethink how I think or the language I use or I'm gonna.
Because if you did, you take ownership of what you said.
Yeah, and be like, this is an ignorant thing to say.
And I need to work on myself.
These are horrible, hateful words that should never be said. And I was saying, like, in the explanation, just saying like, I'm sorry. It's like, all right, old man. Honestly, and how about you let someone else give it a try? It's like
some people
you
get
had
so
your chance,
upset
you
about
it.
this, and then sometimes I just look at it like that is the progression, right? That's what happens.
We need to get rid of these old people and they need to go.
I mean, someone else gets a chance, a younger guy, and because
a way to look positive about it.
A lot of times these guys, they especially in broadcast careers or whatever, they just entrench themselves and set their roots out and just stay there.
Like Harry Carey, he was there forever.
Yeah. And these old broadcasters, they're like, they don't.
F1 for gay.
That's all.
I used to hear stories about him drinking right before the games. He was always S-faced right before the games.
He always reminded me of the guy from God bless him, from what was that school of broadcasting?
Oh,
Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Yes. Oh man, I love those. Hey, you want to play a
Griffin Jess went to CSB.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Tell him secrets.
That just reminds.
Hey, do you want to float in the pool all day?
We should do a segment where like people call in for their biggest waste of money.
Oh, yeah.
no.
Like I'm saying, like boats and CSB
man.
and I'm sure there's a lot of Full Sails. Throw some Everest in there. And like, I knew it when I started.
A lot of schools would be in that list for sure. Yeah.
Anyway,
all right. The next, we're sticking with baseball. The San Diego Padres are the first team to hit for 4 straight games grand slams, and it started off with that guy that hit the grand slam.
Oh yeah.
I've been watching baseball, so I know of almost every because it's on, and I've been watching it. I've actually been. I know I say this every week, but it's getting more and more because I'm finding more and more secret. There are a lot of secret baseball watchers out there.
Yeah.
Guys that know it's boring and know they get stick from their friends because it's boring, but they still watch all the time.
There's little things that, like, I sent a video to Sam earlier this week. Did you see the guy that hit the bear in the stands?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And he got nailed by it, and then it's like barely outside and barely catchable. They did a bunch of puns with it.
But they've been doing that. They've been trying to put different
things in the stands and stuff like that.
for the guys to hit.
Yeah, they did like Weekend at Bernie's, but now they're doing like bears.
Crushed this. It was a foul.
It was a foul ball, and it just
hit a stuffed bear, and it
hit
like
hard. Oh
and
god,
it's cool.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And of course, the announcers are playing with it, like that's why you're bringing a glove to the game and stuff like that. Of course, they're
what's he doing sleeping? Yeah, I'm okay with all that.
Get off your phone, bear.
Yeah, I'm okay with all that.
I'm okay.
Is the 4 straight grand slams have anything to do with like the lack of crowd? Like because
it was just situational. They would load the bases with errors or walking players. Like they were actually, it was a 3-0 pitch, and there's an unwritten rule. Like if it's 3-0, you don't swing at the next pitch. And he swung at the next pitch and hit a grand slam. So he got a bunch of crap about it.
I remember that.
You broke one of the unwritten rules of baseball, but I'm like, I don't know. If it's a perfect pitch and you can get a hold of it.
If I can get it out of the stands, I'm getting it out of the stands.
That's
what I think.
How often do you hit a grand slam? Most players go a whole career and not hit a grand slam, so it's kind of a huge deal.
Yeah. And then, but
it's also padding your stats too, because it's like you know that was coming right down the middle.
This many grand slams, it's a record, right?
It's a record, never been done. They used to be tied with, I think it was the Cleveland Spiders, were the only other team that did 3 straight games. Yeah.
See, I'm wondering, does it have anything to do with batters are finding it easier to concentrate with less crowd,
like
or
distractions in the stands?
Yeah, something like, is it better for batters?
That,
well, from what I've been reading, we would like to think that because we're not in it. But the reality of it is that it's different for every batter. There are some guys that have been complaining about it. Like there are some guys that say
they're used to the white noise of the crowd being there, and it messes them up. And now it's
some
too
guys
quiet.
have said if it stays like this, I don't know if I want to do this. Like there have been people that have said that because like they like.
Yeah,
like
they're used to the environment.
Now, of course, do I think they're exaggerating? I do, because I don't think you're going to kiss away something you love and a ton of money just because something's altered in it. But I also understand that you're just complaining because it's new and you don't like it. So that's allowed.
Making a change is hard for some people.
Yeah, of course.
All right, should we go basketball or football?
I've been enjoying basketball too.
Well, we got to talk about the Magic then, because the Magic are down 3-1 against the Bucks, and their last game, if they don't win on Wednesday, they're out.
So. If I knew more about the NBA, I would bet against the Magic. I'm sorry, Orlando Magic fans. Just because it may be a situation where all the players know some inevitable fact that maybe they're just not as good as the Bucks, and then they may want to just go home. You know what I'm saying? Like it's at the end of the.
But at the same time, the Magic have home field advantage because they've been in Orlando this whole time, so it kind of works out for them and all these other teams. But I think they have adjusted to the bubble at Disney.
It's all basically even at this point. I mean, they've been arguing if there's any advantage. I know they pump in some crowd noise based on if it's a home or away game. But it's really all the same. Like in finding out who's got their advantage with the manufactured crowd noise or something, like I don't know. It seems to me like if you know you were going to lose or not going to make it further.
Well, they won that one. They won was it the first game or the second game?
Yeah, but we have a habit of doing that.
Yeah, they usually get one good game against a team and then they get swept after that.
We are pretty good at coming in hot.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, EJ. So, because you played at least on the highest college level, you know as a player, if the other team is better, and the whole you're going to try your hardest. But
well, at Miami, we always thought we were the better team every single time. That was the problem. Miami's known for having the swagger. and there wasn't a team that we couldn't beat. Like our coaches always said, you got to be better than their best on your worst day.
I'm asking probably the wrong. But I would imagine other teams that come in playing Miami, they know Miami's the better team.
Oh
right?
yeah, especially like they play UAB. That was the reason why I was bringing up Miami. Is they're going to play with some of their stadium partially full, which is crazy. Like they're one of the few teams that are going to actually have players. Like Atlanta's not having any players at their field.
Yeah.
At Falcons, neither is
fans,
Norland.
yeah.
Yeah. So but on the 10th they're playing UAB. UAB is going to get destroyed by Miami. But other teams, they might have a chance. Like it depends on.
It's true. Listen, I'll root for the Magic. Obviously, I want them to progress.
I want at least make it a good series and make it like 3-3 would be nice.
It's just odds are, and I've heard some people talk about it in the gambling world, like they went heavy against Orlando going into the series.
The Bucks are like the number 1 seed, and the Magic are like the 8th seed, so they're barely in the playoffs.
If you are a newer dad too, I'll throw it out there. If you want to watch sports and you have a daughter. It may work for boys too, but I can only speak on what I have. Beads. Get some beads.
What do you mean?
If you got beads, you can sit there and make necklaces and watch as much sports as you want. You just sit there and just slowly string beads. That's how I've been tricking the whole house and letting me while I'm watching the Magic. I'm watching MLS. I'm watching whatever I even watch The Last Dance. Beads. All beads. Yeah,
that's good advice.
Get some beads.
Keep them busy.
Get them a craft. You throw that craft out, but you got to participate. You got to act. I just stand there. I hold my string. I just pretend like I just spell my name 1,000 times. And then she's like, "You're going really slow." I'm like, "I want it to be perfect." I just watch the game.
My sons are like me. They're all ADD crazy, and they can't focus on anything.
I can't focus on the games.
They're like,
I'm too busy
got
with
the beads, and then over here, they're hammering. The beads are everywhere. Crystal's yelling at us.
Never mind. No beads for you. What else you got?
What's the thing I was going to talk about? I think that's all the sports I got.
With the football, did we?
Yeah, we kind of touched on the football, like how most of the teams in the NFL are not having any fans in the stadium, but Miami, the Hurricanes, and the Dolphins are both going to have people 20% capacity at Dolphin Stadium or whatever it's called now.
I heard Jacksonville too, though.
Yeah,
a lot of the teams in Florida are going to have people in the stands, which is like
spread that COVID.
Yeah, it is kind of stereotypical. Like, of course, Florida.
We're from Florida. We have to have fans in there. How else is everybody going to get COVID?
I think it's Florida and Arizona are like the 4 teams.
Yeah.
I will not stop until everybody in the stands cannot taste their hot dogs.
Although, I guess, it's a huge stadium, so you could,
if it's 20%, if you could keep 6 feet apart, but the problem is like tailgating. Because some of the
uncontrollable stuff would worry me. After going to Disney this past weekend, I understand that it can absolutely be done correctly. It can.
Yeah.
Now, it's just like, when the things got weird? Parking lot. They don't control the parking lot. People are all walking together, walking up on me.
See, I like how Universal does it. The cars are split. Every other parking spot is open, and then they fill them in after.
They did that too, but I'm talking about people just randomly walking.
Going towards the thing.
Kind of like tailgating, right? You can't control that.
But you're outdoor. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Who knows? We'll see. What am I going to say? I don't know.
Oh, if I catch COVID at a football game, I'm suing the NFL for sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure on the back of the ticket says you cannot sue us if you get COVID.
Yeah, you're taking a risk.
Yeah. All right. Let's do some nerd.
Should do some nerd. Okay. Let's get you into gambling then. Okay.
Right.
Okay. The new Suicide Squad movie's coming out that James Gunn directed. He was the one that moved over to DC after he got kind of fired by Disney because of tweets and stuff like that. So he's directing the new Suicide Squad. And the Suicide Squad has a roster of a bunch of C and D list villains and heroes that are on the thing. And the Suicide Squad is known for killing off characters. And I want you to gamble on who's going to die in this movie.
Is that something you can gamble on?
I bet you can.
So he's trying to pull you into nerd.
Yes.
Oh, using gambling.
Yeah,
using
gambling. Pretty clever.
Because there's so many characters. Like Pete Davidson's in it. John Cena.
Who does he play?
Pete Davidson's playing as Blackguard.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's a bunch of C and D list guys that I don't know.
A big ding
dong.
Right?
Let's say this guy's name. David Desmelchian. He's the guy that was in Ant-Man. He was the one of the buddies of Ant-Man.
Yeah.
It wasn't T.I. and it wasn't the Spanish guy, but it was the Eastern European guy. He's playing Polka Dot Man.
All right.
Polka Dot Man.
Yeah, and then there's like He basically was a Batman
my
villain.
pop-up told me that there'll eventually be a polka dot man if things keep going as the way they're going. Obama.
He's a Batman villain that has a bunch of polka dots on his shirt.
Some
that
people
have
say
powers.
melting pot. I say we're just a bunch of polka dot men.
Like he used the little polka dots on his uniform to like make chainsaws or to teleport and stuff like that. He was
Wait
a
a
Batman
minute.
villain.
Hold pause.
Yeah.
Everyone be quiet.
Ah.
This particular guy, this hero,
He's a
has
bad
polka
guy.
dots on his suit, and he uses his polka dots to turn into chainsaws.
Chainsaws, yeah.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And like he uses discs to teleport
That's
or
not
flying
even creative.
saucers.
That's
Well,
stupid.
why aren't you Chainsaw Man? Way cooler.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
or-
you know what's
the
better
powers
than
come from the polka dots.
You're
They don't come
wasting
from
time.
that.
Why are you turning your polka dots into chainsaws? Just bring a bunch of chainsaws.
Yeah.
or like why aren't you Unlimited Power Man? Because you can
Basically, yeah,
so you can
kinda.
change your
Stop
polka
the
dots
cutesy polka dots.
into anything you want, including teleportation or.
I didn't write the character.
Well, you're a
I'm just
god.
telling
You're
you.
just weird because you're like, I have to slow everything down. I have to make them polka dots. Oh, God, I love polka dots.
And the reason why he wears the polka dots is to get
Oh, my
Batman's
God,
attention.
the Nazis are attacking. We need some weapons. Here, grab these polka dots. Turn them into guns.
And like Peter Capaldi's in this. He's the formerly Doctor Who.
Louis
He's
Capaldi, the
no,
singer?
Peter Capaldi. Doctor Who. He's the
He's
thinker in this movie.
He's the old, wrinkly Doctor Who, right?
Yeah, the older one with the old Irish guy. And then they got Nathan Fillion, who's known for Castle. He's the detachable kid. He could take off his arms and legs and stuff like that. And he
The detachable kid.
These are stupid.
Who wrote this, Remy?
Yeah. You're making up nonsense.
Well,
Like,
and,
polka
like
dot man.
Idris Elba's in it as Bloodsport, and then you got Sean Gunn, who's James Gunn's brother. He's the Weasel.
So what's blood?
So he's playing Pauly Shore.
Michael Rooker's in it. He's the Savant. Oh my God. John Cena's in it. He's Peacemaker. Rick Flag is back in it. Captain
Rick Flair's in it.
Rick Flag. He was in the last one. Oh God.
You may not like these polka dots, but you better learn to LOVE love these polka dots.
And they got Mongol. Oh, Mongal. Sorry, I got to get that right.
Mongal.
Yeah, because she's the female Mongol.
All right.
Which is a Superman villain.
This just ruined the whole beginning of your segment.
So one of these people will die.
No, multiple these people will die. Like,
I hope they all die.
Like Harley Quinn is in it as well, and like I would give you like horrible odds that she would not die. Like she's gonna be living through the whole movie.
Of course, yeah, main
like
staple
her,
character.
Captain Boomerang, and Rick Flag. Like I would say 1,000,000 to 1, they're gonna die.
Captain Boomerang and Rick Flag. Is that like a conservative talk show?
Welcome back to Captain Boogerang.
Boogerang.
Welcome back to the Boogerang Hour.
It's
with
an
Red Flag.
Australian conservative radio show.
You're
Cyclone.
not gonna believe what Sleepy Joe did last night.
but it has like a morning zoo. That's where Boomerang comes in. He plays sound effects.
Boomerang, you're not thinking of voting for Sleepy Joe, are you? Oh, Boomerang, you're crazy. We'll be right back, but first I want to tell you about taking all of your money and sinking it into gold. You bunch of fools.
They always have those
Extends
weirdo
commercials.
Sponsors. Like, who are your sponsors?
My God.
Like, they all like boners and gold.
Yeah. Or buy bricks for the wall in Mexico.
They're like walls, boners, and gold. It's a weird thing. Which also kind of boring. Like,
I'm sitting in my mansion. I'm just gold everywhere because I sunk all my money into it. I've got an erection because I'm taking boner pills. And I'm reading the latest book by L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh, and I forgot. Oh, Flula Borg is in it as well. He's the German guy from Pitch Perfect 3. He always plays that German guy in movies. He's playing Javelin.
all right. Okay, let me guess. Javelin just
He's
throws
a
javelins?
German guy that throws javelins.
I'm a javelin.
God, these are who wrote this? Like what's
Like I said, it's comics from like the 60s, 70s, 50s, like all over the place.
It's terrible.
And they put these people on the movie on the comic book to kill them.
Okay.
So it's like they're in it's kind of like the Hunger Games, but before the Hunger Games.
So do they make them purposely like you want to hate them so they eventually die?
Some yes, some of them no. Like you
Okay.
kind of feel bad that some of them die. Like King Shark's going to be in it as well.
Shark?
Yeah.
What is he?
Hello,
He's
I'm King
He's a shark man.
He's a shark man. He's a big giant guy that looks like a great white shark that's with arms and legs.
So he has a shark
Shark
torso?
head. He has a
Does he
shark
look like
head
those-
and arms and
What were
legs.
those
That's
street
like when
sharks?
Maui-
Yeah, street shark. He looks just like
Okay.
Maui would be perfect.
So he looks
yeah.
like a street shark or
Yeah.
Bruce.
Yeah.
From Lil
Yeah.
Nemo. Or not Lil Nemo, but
Lil Nemo.
Lil Nemo.
So I mean, but is it a shark's main advantage? Is it it's swimming in
Sharks
the ocean?
don't have a mane. They have a fin.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, but I'm
You
just saying,
idiot.
Like
Mammals have hair.
its ability to swim fast in the ocean and maneuver.
He can swim fast in the ocean as well.
Well, you can't.
Well, he
with
has to
the
take
arms
off
or-
his.
Yeah.
He has to take off his
he have a
board
tail?
shorts first.
He does have a tail. I don't know if he has a tail.
He wears board shorts.
might have a
though,
short
right?
tail.
He looks like the Maui and Sons guy.
Yeah.
like on the land, you're just like, well, just don't let him bite you. Other than that, he's just a regular dude.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. What's up?
Basically, his powers are that.
Jump ability.
Of course, he has shark teeth for deadly attacks.
Can't really get close to you. I'm drying out over here.
He can breathe underwater, swim extremely fast. He's super strong and can regenerate his body tissue. He
Okay.
also likes to eat people.
Yeah, he does. He eats a lot of people in the comic books.
Okay.
Like
But-
even people on his own team.
Does he
eats.
wear a shirt?
No,
No,
I mean not
usually
from
doesn't.
this
No,
picture.
usually
I'm
he just
looking
wears
at.
pants.
He has pants on
He
to
usually
cover
wears
his Shark
pants,
Ding
yeah.
Dong.
I think
See, I knew you
Yeah.
guys would have fun with this. I knew you guys would have a good time
I
with
wear-
Suicide Squad.
I wear
you-
jean shorts because I'm a Gators fan.
How dare you assume we're having fun? We are not having fun.
I've never had fun.
I'm miserable.
I was like,
I
this
wish
is gonna be
Shark
perfect.
Man, I wish King Shark would eat me right now.
You know what he needs? A good vest.
Yeah.
I feel like Shark Man needs
What
a
kind
Like a
vest.
Stone
Does he-
Cold Steve Austin with
Does
like
he keep it
316 on
open?
it.
Does
Yeah.
he keep
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know,
leather vest like biker or like maitre d Olive Garden?
like a jean.
Oh, I want a punk rock
jacket.
vest with patches.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
yeah. Wasn't there another shark person in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or some one of them?
I'm sure there was.
There was an
But I think
alligator,
you're
I
thinking
remember.
of the Street Sharks,
Okay.
which were a series of action figures along the time
There
of
was a
Ninja Turtles.
cyborg bounty hunter shark in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles called Armagon.
Did he have a vest?
He had like
What was
like
his
armor.
Shoulder pads?
He had like
Oh,
armor.
shoulder
What was
pads.
his name?
Armagon.
Oh my god!
Um,
Oh my god!
we have one more story.
Oh my god, I got a bunch more.
Do we
'cause
have
it-
to, or can we let the shark eat the
DC
bit?
fandom had put out a bunch of stuff. Like this is just the tip of the iceberg for the stuff that came from DC this weekend. Like they released the Batman trailer. Have you seen that with Robert Pattinson?
No.
Dude, it looks amazing.
It does look pretty dark and cool.
And they finally fixed the problem they always had with Batman. Batman always had like eyeshadow under his eyes to cover his eye things, and whenever they took off the mask, it would be mysteriously gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Robert Pattinson was wearing the eye makeup, so like when he takes the mask off, he has the eye makeup.
That's the big beef
Hey,
everyone's had with Batman.
It's one of the problems a lot of people had with Batman. It's like a
I'm more
continuity error.
authentic. I'm wearing my eye makeup.
Yeah, and I'm
Now
not
to
going to say
hunt
it's
down-
year one; it's year two Batman.
Now
so
I'm gonna
it's
hunt
like
down
after
King
that. And
Shark.
it's based off the long Halloween storyline
I heard King Shark's running around
because Eric Wolf keeps on
Goth
giving me crap on
Popalypse
Facebook.
with his pants off.
Who are the villains in this new?
Well, with
Batman?
the new Batman, Catwoman's in it. She's played by Lenny Kravitz's daughter.
Played by Lenny Kravitz.
No, Zoe, yeah.
Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz. Yeah,
So does Catwoman?
Catwoman's in it. The Riddler's in it. Penguin's in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
so they're going with the classics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who?
Calendar Man's in it.
Oh,
What?
Calendar Man. I hate Calendar Man.
Goddamn Calendar
I
Man.
hate Calendar
That's my
Man.
arch enemy.
I don't want to spoil the plot of the movie.
Incorrect.
That's
Your
why I kinda
arch
wanna give
enemy
everything
is
away.
Google Calendar Man.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
You used to love Cozy Calendar Man.
Also, never liked the Penguin as a villain.
Well, you work with him.
I was like,
It's just
give him an umbrella.
like
Mwah, mwah.
penguins aren't
I did
menacing
like it
at
when he
all.
had the long cigarette though.
Yeah,
Like
Burgess
Burgess Meredith,
Burgess
yeah.
Meredith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just I'm like, who's scared of a bunch of stinky old penguins? Like, you're Batman.
Well, they smell bad.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the penguin encounter at SeaWorld?
Yeah, I've pet numerous penguins.
Yeah, Tom goes in there. He knows a guy. He goes in there after hours.
Yeah.
Does whatever he wants.
I have touched
penguin me
over
too.
a dozen penguins.
Yeah, he's the Epstein of penguins over here. This guy's got an island.
He goes after.
It's just nothing but penguins.
The cops are. I bought a bunch of gear for them. They're cool.
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool. I've never been there. But Butler goes there all the time. But when the royal family asked him if he's been there, he says no.
Denies it completely.
Well, when the penguins in the room,
sweating profusely.
Yeah, I just ask them if they want to
spread.
The money's in the boot. Anyway, my God.
Tangent Man is Tom.
Quick, pretend you're a penguin.
Do we take a break, come back, and finish? What should we do?
That's what I do with my wife.
Take a break in the middle.
I'm out of breath right now.
Yeah.
I need to go poop.
Okay, let's
let's
take a quick break. Come back with like 2 more stories, or at least 1 more,
Yeah,
and then
all
right, we'll be back. Bye. Welcome back to Corporate Time. Let's get right back into it. What do we got here?
All right, let's talk about the new Batman movie. Well, not the new Batman movie. Let's talk about the Flash movie and how they're going to add the Michael Keaton universe to the Flash movie, because it seems like it's going to be multi-dimensional. And Michael Keaton is coming back as Batman, as an older Batman, and so is Michelle Pfeiffer as an older Catwoman.
There's it's just too much.
Are you Birdman? Are you Batman?
Yeah.
You can't be both.
Are you multiplicity?
You got to pick.
And Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is also going to be Batman in it as well. So they're doing multiple Batmans.
How do you do multiple Batmans in it?
Multiple universes.
Oh, God.
Because he travels
it's
between
just
dimensions and stuff
confusing
like
than
that.
everybody's Batman.
Yeah, Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 37,
Earth
41.
1. There's only Earth.
Oh.
Stop.
Well, if you believe in string theory, that's not true.
So he is just traveling like to different worlds,
different Earths,
different Batman.
I'm here to
different dimensions.
visit every Batman.
And each Batman probably has a different,
like they're like the one I think they might
storyline.
do is he might not be Batman. He might be Thomas Wayne for like Flashpoint, where actually Batman is Batman's dad, and instead of Batman's parents getting killed, Batman gets killed, and they change the world that way.
Gotcha. Yeah. So basically,
I almost wish everybody who enjoys this would get killed.
The dad lives and
Eaten
the
by
kid
King
gets
Shark.
killed. And
And then the mom
becomes
becomes Joker. There's a whole storyline about that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Is there
imagine my mom is Joker? I'm like, what are you doing, Joker? You're in there reading your you're doing Bible verses. Okay, that's fine. That's all right. How's your arthritis? Not bad. Okay.
So
prop your feet up.
When is that happening?
It's next year. So
Okay.
the Flash movie. Ben Affleck is still going to be Batman, even though Robert Pattinson is being Batman.
He's like thicker
in this
Batman.
one, yeah, because he was
Like,
supposed to be the older Batman.
Ben
Kinda
Affleck's like big, thick Batman, and Robert Pattinson is like thin, wafy, emo Batman.
Yeah. And then old man Batman. Michael
Keaton.
Keaton. So, anyway.
So they're going to do that, a bunch of stuff. So what's the next thing? So New Mutants are coming out in theaters on Friday, which I'm going to go. I'm probably going to go by myself to see it to keep my kids safe or stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be a horror movie. So it's in like an insane asylum. They're demon bear and stuff like that. But there was a casting that they did have, and they're going to put Warlock in the movie, who's like a techno-organic creature, and it was going to be played by Sacha Baron Cohen, but he got cut. And I wish they would have put it in, because he's a really cool character in the New Mutants world.
So what is the New Mutants?
The New Mutants were like the next generation of X-Men.
Okay.
So they were like students at the school. Like there was Magik, who is Colossus' little sister. There's Maisie Williams is playing what's her name? God, I lost it. Wolfsbane.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a generation after.
Yeah, and there's like
the
Sunspot,
traditional...
Cannonball. Like some of them become
Cannonball.
Yeah, Cannonball is Sam Guthrie. He was
Is he a fat guy?
No, he's actually a skinny guy. He was from like Tennessee, and he has the ability to fly by turning himself into a biochemical
I can turn
fire.
myself into an old Confederate cannonball.
Yeah, basically, yeah, kind of. And he would just go all over the place. And at the beginning,
Heritage, not hate, guys. Please,
would have to-
we're all in this together.
it was kind of like Sam's truck. Like he would have to run into a tree or something to stop. So it's kind of like that with Sam Guthrey's powers. Cannonball.
Can't find an
at
old
the beginning.
Spanish fort to blast into. Stupid. My God.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't have. I'm mad about the creativity when they come. You have infinite amount of things you can come up, right? Because there's no.
Yeah, but everything has to
Cannonball.
be original. If you go like, okay, everything can't be Superman. That kind of
I know.
defeats the whole purpose. So you
Yeah,
gotta have
but nothing should
limitations
be
on their
Cannonball.
powers.
yeah.
Well,
Cannonball should be what they didn't decide to do. That should be on the.
It should be the
editing room
stuff you
floor.
make fun of. You should can you believe that this guy thought it would be cool if he made a guy that turned into a cannonball?
He doesn't turn into
Get
a
him.
cannonball. He basically just blasts. His legs become like this fire thing, and it basically he comes to like a human rocket.
Okay.
Well, then he should have named himself Human Rocket.
Well, that was. But the thing is, the reason why he was called Cannonball is because the way he stopped, he had to run into things to stop.
So
At the beginning, when he first got his
They
powers,
should call him Unstoppable.
Like he was unable to stop himself without like tying himself down or running into a tree or a wall or
Somebody
something like that.
stop me.
But he was invulnerable while he was doing
They're
this
redoing
stuff.
that too.
Are they
Yeah.
really?
Mask?
Yeah, the mask.
Yep.
I can see that. Yeah.
Who's playing the mask?
I hope
Jim
it's not
Carrey.
Jamie Kennedy.
No, Jim Carrey's coming back to do it. You guys
Really?
haven't heard about this?
No,
No.
I didn't.
Hello.
Nobody wants it, but they're doing it.
Oh, we're gonna go.
Bye-bye.
Oh, sorry.
Bye-bye.
Bye. We're done.
Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I am Dan.
I'm Tom.
Samantha, our producer's here. Hey, Sam.
Hi.
Butler is in the other room. Joining us today, we normally have him on, when he does Nerd Jock. I forgot the name of his segment.
Yeah.
But
not forgettable.
our good friend EJ's here today. What's up,
Thank
man?
you.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
you having
hanging
me.
out.
Yeah, I know.
I'm glad that you hung out a little longer.
Yep. So let's get right into it. We're gonna do a weird job, of course. Do we have?
I think we do have a new one. Yeah.
Pariah.
I have to go and look. So I'm going. Na. I know that we were gifted one by Pariah Mike, and let's go with.
Yeah, because I know Joey did one.
Yeah, we
they
did that
played
one.
last.
I don't think we did this one right here.
The show is young, the future was so bright. Whoa. Fans and droves wanted to be inside. Whoa. Know everyone on the whole damn street. Whoa. Knows Tom's got some jacked up feet. COVID's got the whole world torn. Whoa. Free trials to all the porn. Whoa. How can one little show screw up so many lives? Lisa's gone, and so is Lee. They won't be missed by me. We're top Wednesday. It's hard to rhyme. Should have done Sublime.
That's awesome.
I like
Good
that.
job, Pariah
He's done a
Mike.
couple of Offspring.
Yeah.
I think that's
Offspring.
the second or third Offspring song he's done.
That's a
Great
good
job.
song.
Yeah, that is a good album. Norm said that. He's like, that's a good. I'm gonna put that on today.
Yeah.
Put that on later today
Yeah.
while I'm like cleaning up around here. That's a great album. And thank you again to our very good friend Pariah Mike. Check out his podcast. I know Sam's been on there. I've been on there. You need to go on there. You'd like it. And it's a movie show. And it's called Fort Airwalk Podcast. And you can download it wherever podcasts are found.
My appearance will be most downloads, biggest downloads.
Yeah, I like
Hey,
that.
Mr. Trump.
You are the Trump of podcast. And normally he
it's
backs
fun.
Are
it
we going
up.
to do extend spills next on the commercials?
Look, normally he backs it up. Look, I
I
would
see
love-
why he does it, because it's fun just saying it, and then everybody's like, "You're an idiot." At
least you know.
Well, no, I know, but
And I don't know how to. I don't
saying
know how
it.
to react to it because I don't know how to react to it when I even see it in real life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when
Well,
people-
you
Now
do it
I
as a
like it.
joke.
when you
I like
do
it.
it,
It's true.
it makes me and Sam
He's
uncomfortable.
the
We're both
best.
kind of like
Although, I will say,
He backs it up.
Tom's episode on
Yeah.
semantics is
Yeah.
the most downloaded
he backs it
semantics
up.
episode.
He's building it.
What?
So I watched that John Oliver thing.
Yeah, I watched it too. That's why I know exactly what you're talking about.
Anyway.
That's why we both laughed really hard.
So anyway, Weird Job Wednesday brought to you by StreamlineFlorida.com. If you want to refi, a cash out refi, get a mortgage, interest rates are great. Talk to Brian Zyman on his team.
Indeed.
It's Streamline Mortgage Solutions. So on the line with us right now, we've got Robert. How you doing, Robert?
Not bad. How about yourself?
Good. So, Robert, what do you do?
Okay. So it was a job I had back in 2017, part-time. I worked at an inpatient mental health and substance abuse rehab center. in Florida.
That sounds a rough job.
Wow, it's weird that you're no longer there.
So now these are very important in our society, and we should have way more. And it should be way more easier.
Oh, what,
for
crazy houses?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, mental health facilities, especially like substance abuse facilities and things like that.
I mean, Robert should be wiping my butt right now.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
There's so much other funds going into things, and you're looking at them, you're like, man, we got a lot of mentally ill people and a lot of addicts in our society that are going, causing a lot of problems.
We can't even get the mild guy who just needs a little bit of counseling to counsel, let alone the bad cases.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we need to change that. And we've made no bones about the fact that as far as this show goes, we believe in therapy and mental health. But what was your main job when you were doing this, Robert?
So my job title, I was something called an HST, which is a human service technician, which essentially is a glorified babysitter for adults, for the most part.
All right. So,
and go ahead.
You would just oversee like a particular unit or like a group of people. How would that work?
So, the facility in question is, on average, they had about 30 to 35 people, patients or persons served, as they called it. We weren't allowed to say patients. I'd get yelled at. You'd say, no, it's person served. So I'm like, all right. So essentially what we would do is, we'd have our clipboards.
Like
we'd
McDonald's?
walk, pretty much. We would go, and there'd be about 3 or 4 HSTs during a shift, and we literally would just take them from one module, like class thingy, to another, make sure they're not doing the touchy, and, pretty much keep them from, hurting themselves or other people, but, whatnot. And we just document, we write on clipboards all day, take roll call, and, try and, make the day go by as quickly as possible.
Robert, let me ask you a question, because this is another thing when it comes to mental health facilities that we do a horrible job, and you worked in one, so tell me if you think this is accurate, is we as a society will put everybody in the same place no matter what they're dealing with. So you can go there because you had a bad run of depression, and it's up and down. You've been battling your whole life, and then one time you made some horrible decision to maybe take some too many pills or whatever you did, and they send that person to the same facility that a person is like dealing with severe schizophrenia and stuff, and then it's like,
yeah, you're right.
So the person shows up and like, I have mild depression. I made a mistake. I attempted suicide, but maybe it was more of a call for help. And then you're standing next to the guy who thinks their pencil is talking to them, or their aliens talking to them.
Can't pencils.
Whatever it is, like the person's, and then that I think scares the people with any mild stuff to even seek treatment, because they don't want to be in facilities with people with way more of a severe mental illness than they're dealing with, and then it creates people not going to seek help because they the stigma.
I can see that.
So is that accurate at all?
Well, so I'll backtrack a little bit. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with like the treatment centers on the coast. I mean, I'm Central Florida. We don't have anything really fancy, but there's not all treatment centers are created equally.
Oh yeah.
There are some that are like $30,000 for a month, and you're pampered and all that stuff. And I didn't work at one of those. I worked at one that most of the people showing up were being dropped off and coming straight from the county jail. That were
court
probably
mandated
going to prison. Oh yeah. So, but there are people that were admitted. People like, hey, I have a problem. So there was a huge spectrum. We never had any violent. No one with violent crimes. It was all, you had to be nonviolent. But yeah, you had some people that, would sit there and talk to themselves, and you go up to them and say, hey, you okay? He said, I'm just talking to myself. I'm like, all right. And you get the people that are like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, this is crazy. I'm like, yeah, it can get worse. You want to, you had the people that got the DUI and the people that have been in and out of rehab since they were 16 and they're like 40 years old.
So your facility is more focused on the addiction medicine rather than the mental illness part. I know some of it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, a lot of it goes hand in hand. it was a pretty 50-50 split. It was tough because, again, the one thing that kind of cracked me up about this job was when I went to go do the training for this position, they didn't tell you how to deal with people that are mentally ill.
That's good.
You don't really want to tell people that. You want to spring it on them.
Hey,
that's the way I do it.
Hey, before you go work in this mental facility for mentally ill people, I'm going to teach you how to train your jump shot. Or what are they? What are they training you to do?
Well, literally, and I didn't think they existed anymore. I'm only, I'm turning 30 this year, so I remember when we were in school and they'd wheel in a TV with a VHS and plug it in there and play it. Well, my training was literally they wheeled in a TV and plugged in a VHS, and I sat there and took a test.
So you want to work with weirdos?
Exactly.
Don't let them bite you.
Bad. Oh man, yeah. So and it was even worse when I was taking the test because I'm not gonna lie, I zoned out because I'm like, this is ridiculous. And the lady's like, just here, let me answer it for you. So I'm like, all right.
Oh my
God.
Yeah, underqualified people. That's great.
That's awesome.
So
at least you were providing accurate help for these folks.
So anytime
look out what they paid for.
Anytime society brings up we need to put more money to focus on this problem and to fix the infrastructure, we're hearing why.
Yeah,
this is why.
No one has any training. He's watching a video on VHS before he works with.
And it was a Wendy's training video. It had nothing to do with the mental health facility.
I'd have to see the video.
People suffering from addiction and mental health. And then, so of course, these people aren't getting properly treated.
Right.
And then going back out and the never-ending.
And then recidivism,
revolving door. This is crazy. Anyway, so when you got there, what are some of the? I'm sure you saw some crazy things when you were there. Were the people, most of them, cool? To work with.
In terms of the people, the actual patients, it was like anything. You get a good split. You get a good taste of what's going on in the area. We're Highlands County. We get people from Pasco. We got people from Polk. We got people from, Hardy. We got a pretty good amount of people in the area, and it's the only treatment center in kind of a big area for that. Mm-hmm. But you would get the people that were pretty shot out. You could tell that probably won't be able to function very well in life. They just that burned out. I mean, enough meth will eventually burn you out to where you can't really function. But you did get the people the 40-something-year-old woman that drank too much wine and got in a DUI and crashed, and she's was a registered nurse, and she's I can't believe this is happening. I'm well, yeah, I believe it. So it really was a crazy wide spectrum. You get the people that were, legit gangbangers, and you could tell they didn't want to be there, but they don't want to go to prison, so they'd rather do that for 3 months. And it never would fail. You'd always have one grandpa black guy, this old black guy that would just start talking and just ramble on about the old times and just start singing gospel music whenever, and you realize he is really insane.
Oh, okay.
Well, I wasn't gonna say insane. It's very comforting. Yeah. I mean, who
telling me stories and singing me gospels? I'm in.
And for sure he's screaming, "This is some bull ass."
Yeah.
Every time he gets served a meal, he looks at it, he's like, "This is bull ass." So here's the problem, though, and it seems like the 42-year-old mom that drank too much wine every night and got an accidental DUI should be at least, is their treatment the same as a guy that's lived on the streets for 20 years and is a meth head? You know what I'm saying? Should they?
They're the same in my eyes.
Is it are they going through the same program? Is that it seems like maybe there should be people
cater to the circumstances,
or something putting them all.
That takes too much time and resources.
Proper training. What are you talking about?
Because
they didn't cover that in the video, Tom.
It seems like the mom, may be dealing with some alcohol addiction and stuff, but she has different resources and maybe different. It's so. Maybe treat each case individually and get some more money and get some more therapists and get some more. Anyway, so
was this a state-run facility?
Well, the one thing, so it's not a state-run; it's state-funded. It has some partial funding. It's again, when I say like there's the treatment centers that are $30,000, $40,000 a month. This one's like maybe $1,000 for the whole 2 months you're there. Maybe.
Wow.
That's not bad.
Like, well, yeah, I mean,
can
yeah.
stay someplace for $1,000 for a month.
Right.
Yeah. So and you know, they do focus more on like they're not trying to sugarcoat anything. Like it is the like probably one of the better facilities to actually, if you really want to get better and not be in and out of jail and have addiction problems, like it's probably one of the ones that actually sort of gives you the most resources, because they don't get you to where like, okay, you're about to leave, like, okay, you're cured of all this. Like, no, you're just now going to be, you know, like this is only the beginning. Like if you really want to not go back to drinking or using, you know, you got a lot of work ahead of you. So it's one of the places that actually does tell it like it is, not like, no, you're cured now, have fun.
Yeah.
You know?
How long were you there doing the job?
I worked there for a little over, I think it was 16 months I was there.
How was the company Christmas party? Describe it. Was it the open bar or drink tickets?
Or no booze? Because,
he was part-timer.
Well, just
Probably
because
invited.
those people don't drink doesn't mean I don't have to drink.
Yeah, but
at least that's what they tell me.
a lot of the counselors are like ex-addicts.
I don't
too.
care, not my fault.
And they're like, I'm sure they frown upon any sort of
Not my
alcohol.
fault. Well, I'm not coming to the party then if we're not getting drinks.
Although, if
What am I go there do white elephant so I can get some garbage?
Pizza party.
let me
Get some
ask-
DVD copy of Elf?
let me ask you this, Robert. From talking to like
like Elf
Bubba
too.
and some other people that have been to facilities like this,
Oh, I love Bubba's stories.
they love caffeine and nicotine.
cigarettes
Oh,
crazy.
yeah,
Cigarettes
yeah.
So this is where it gets kind of annoying for some. So the facility itself is by a state a college, and because the facility has been there for like since the 50s, they've been leasing the property from the college since then. So when the college went to tobacco-free, all the state colleges,
Have to go
that means the facility went, tobacco-free. So for a while, you were able to smoke there.
Oh, man.
And I could only imagine what it would have been like if I was a person there, a patient there, when it was like half my time there was I was allowed to smoke and the other half I wasn't. Like that sounds like a
Oh, it
nightmare
got
to me.
violent, I'm sure.
Oh,
Man,
yeah.
I thought that was a bad time.
And then I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
that probably made a lot of them not want to
They
go
left,
back.
yeah.
They left, and then not getting treated,
Well,
and then now they're back out doing.
And I
the
don't
same
smoke
thing.
regular cigarettes. I smoke cloves.
So, Robert, do you-
Interesting
That reminds
smell.
me of Disney.
like from being
Because I'm hip.
from being involved into like working at one of these facilities, like how would you see like the government spending more money and making these facilities better? Like, where would you put the money if it was up to you? Because obviously, I think we could all agree, like,
It needs some help.
anybody that
training.
proposes, like, hey, we're going to put $1 billion into, making all these facilities better, getting more staff, getting more professionals, better training.
Better training,
Who
yeah.
would be against that? Be like, no, I like my mentally ill on the streets and
It is-
addicted to meth.
It's a really, and I had this topic with like other relatives of mine. I have a couple of relatives that are, involved in politics, and I bring this question up to them too, and they're like, to be honest, it's not really, if you're trying to fund something, it's mental health. People don't really want to talk about it. They're like, no, let's talk about education stuff and all this other, I don't want to get political, but all the other rigmarole. They'd rather just keep it like out of sight, out of mind, and it's scary because you're like, this is a lot of people that deal with this sort of addiction.
I think it's got to be bipartisan because everybody has had a relative or friend dealing with mental health, right?
Or
Like-
addiction.
Right.
Or addiction,
But
right?
it is still looked at as a thing that
It's a
nobody
weakness,
wants to
weakness, yeah.
acknowledge,
Like,
nobody wants to talk about.
I mean, but adults, I'll talk to anybody about
No,
that.
but
And,
that's you.
That's you.
Right.
Huh.
If you come here,
Somebody might not want to know, like, want to tell everyone that their family members in rehab, like they
There
feel
are
like they're
guys-
being, like
but
they're
they-
being judged
no,
too.
like even
No,
right here,
well,
we see men and women that go into these counseling, centers that are right by our studio. The look of like embarrassment on their face
Right.
coming and going every single day.
Well,
like they're hiding to get in.
They are scared to death of going.
But
in there.
that's different than voting and making it so we fund these places better, because that I could talk to any reasonable person would be like, hey, you know how like we have a really bad addiction problem, yes, and you know there's a lot of mentally ill
some
people not
just
getting
believe
treated.
those people are weak.
And they think that they
Guilt
deserve
by
it.
association,
That they
too.
deserve to die in OD because they're disposable.
No,
That's how people think, man.
No, but the vast minority people think that. I don't think majority. Like I've never.
Third of the country, probably.
I've never talked to a person that was that unreasonable in real life and been like every person that addicted to any. I mean, because even like if you want to go real political, right wing and stuff, like like even Rush Limbaugh dealt with addiction and stuff like that, and like other people that you looked up to
Yeah, but
that dealt with.
they're in their mind they say, well, they chose to do that. They think it's a choice still.
But they
it is
acknowledge that
a
he had
matter
help
of-
though, right?
It is one of those things too that until you have something hit close to home, it's like you don't really. It's like I said, you don't think about it until you have like a loved one. You're like, oh, this is real, and then you're like, okay, maybe we should. But until that happens, it's like it's never on the radar. It's sad because it is like, hey, you know how we can make the rest of the United States a lot better is if we took care of a lot of these people that just need someone else to talk to that can work with them, and the COVID hasn't made it much better. It's
yeah. Christine took the word I was going to use right out of my mouth. Like I see a lot of people on social media. Now again, I realize that that's the minority.
Yeah.
But I do see in the trigger word that they use is bootstraps. It's always bootstrap. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That kind of thing. And I see a lot of people that even like right now say that to like business owners that have no control.
It's a lack of empathy.
Over like you have businesses right now, like bars especially, have zero control over where they're going right now. They're just trying to do their best.
Should have picked a better career.
Yeah.
I've seen people say that. It's like, wow.
Stop complaining. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I'm like, oh my God, why would what's
These are the
wrong?
same people
Kick
that think
people
they
while
hit a
they're
triple.
down.
What is wrong with you? Why would you say that?
They're born on third and think they hit a triple.
But
I
think if you actually talk to those people in real life, like they don't necessarily. And when it comes to mental illness and addiction, because someone has experienced it in their life, they have some sort of connection to it because everybody does. And I think you could talk to a person and be like, hey, we waste a lot of money here, or we use a lot of money for this. Let's put it to this. It'll help society.
Yeah.
It'll help the economy. These people will get jobs. These people will be able to live success,
better citizens and better
but
country.
they'll be able to work. They'll be able to be. It'll benefit everybody. The crime will get lower. You want to stop like all the drugs coming in, like get these people off the drugs. Like it's like. I feel like you could have a logical conversation with someone and most people would be like, yes, I agree. Put more money into helping mentally ill and addiction problems.
What was the hardest part of doing your job?
I think what was challenging, I don't know if I could point it out, but I think sometimes what was challenging for me was some of my coworkers wouldn't quite understand when they'd say, like the comment like you said, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, what if you don't know where your bootstraps are?
Right.
And a lot of the people I worked with, some of them had no empathy at all. Like they go, well, I don't understand why they think that way. I'm like, well, they're not well. They're not bad people. They're just kind of not well, and they have a drug problem, and they have been off their drug of choice for a couple of months now. So they're kind of going through realizing reality. And
also, if you were trained, you would understand why. Like, it's like I've said this before with Daniel. Like Daniel's anxiety, it's not like he doesn't like flying. And like, well, why don't you like flying? It's perfectly safe. It's not a logic. It's an irrational fear.
Completely, yeah.
And so a lot of these things are irrational. So you can't just tell them the rationality of it, and then they'll be like, oh, well, I'm cured now.
Right.
Of course, it's irrational
Speaking
fear.
logic to emotional situation never works.
And if you were trained, you'd understand how to make them, if it is even possible to get over that fear, you could learn, not just be like, oh, well, get over it, you baby. That doesn't help anything.
I think the two things that bugged me the most was, like I have, either you can look at it, I fortunately or unfortunately have a lot of experience with substance abuse, so I'm no stranger to that stuff. So when they say, hey, I'm going through this or going through that, the people, the patients there, I go, I understand what you're talking about. I understand. Like, trust me, I've been there, done that. Literally been there, done that. The people that never dealt with it, and they go, I don't understand why they're like this. I'm like, well, that's probably a good thing because you probably don't want to. So it was that, and then I think the other thing that really sucked was hearing, that the people that leave there either end up, doing something really bad and hurting someone or dying whether it be overdose or suicide.
That's terrible.
So, Robert, I'm going to get off my high horse and get low.
Okay.
I think I know where you're going.
No,
I think he knows what it is.
Don't steal my question. I want to know if he got fired for hooking up with somebody.
No, I was going to go there. I was going to
finger painting.
How many different places were they trying to hide their drugs? Because I'm sure they come up with creative places to put their OxyContin around. So did you find any?
I never was part of the search crew, if you will. Like, I mean, we knew when someone had cigarettes, because, I mean, they're going to smoke cigarettes in a dorm. It's like, you idiot. You know, we could smell that, like, 10 feet away. Yeah. It's an old building, so they have, like, these old AC units that were, like, it's almost like a hotel AC unit, the ones kind of by the window.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they would find ways to crack it open and shove things in there. And, yeah.
Did you ever have anybody attack you or do anything like real nuts like that?
No, not really. Like, we'd had people that would get really loud and start getting all uppity, and the only few times I've ever actually shouted really loud, and to where I was like, oh damn, that was me. Like, I would yell at them like, go to the nurse's station. Yeah, oh yeah. Because, you as soon as, if anyone touches anyone, whether it be like trying to grab someone, like if people start fighting, like my rules are you don't touch them. Like you just let them fight, which I'm like, all right. Or the other thing that cracked me up.
Let it go.
Yeah, I know.
So you yell. Your job would be to yell "World Star" as loud as you could.
Yeah, that would be. No, they say, go get the nurse. The nurse will break it up. And I'm like, yeah, that old lady nurse, she's going to break it up.
Yeah, you should let her. That'd be funny, too.
Yeah, what cracked me up was they would, for when I was there, they put these, those little defibrillator things you see in the malls and stuff, and in case someone had a heart attack, but we're not supposed to touch the patient, so, like, what do we do with that? Like,
hand it to him.
It made no sense.
Here,
take care of yourself.
Lead this.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps with this.
Yeah, zap your boots.
Was there any problems with the number 2
finger painting
spread around?
Did the Colbert put on the wall?
Yeah.
Sometimes they like to paint with a number 2.
No, not so much that. We had the guys that would. So it was a mixed men and female, obviously different dorms, and so you'd get these guys that are coming out of prison that have been in prison for like 20 years, and they're having to go to rehab before they can be let out into the public. And they would sit. We'd always wonder about this one guy. He'd sit at this park bench by himself, and no one would go near him. Oh yeah, and he'd have like just be gunning women down when they'd walk by him, and you're like, oh god.
Wait, what?
So, doing what?
Finger gun them?
Wait. Like,
like a hole in their pocket kind of thing.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
That's I forgot about that
Yeah,
one.
I don't think I understand this.
Imagine if you reach into your pocket to get your car keys, but there was a hole in your pocket, and you could reach into a whole other world.
Yeah, and then you start gunning.
Yeah, then you just start James gunning it.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that, and I'm so glad that I wasn't a lady that had to take care of the ladies, because apparently they had a bad problem with a lot of women kind of getting really touchy-feely in the showers with each other. And I'd be like,
I've seen Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, I know what they do in there. I've seen that show on the HBOs. I know what they do.
All right, Robert. So
they eat each other's beavers.
I don't think you would say that.
You can't. I just wanted to make you laugh.
I think we're cutting the tension.
So, Robert,
I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry.
Even though that we need more people doing this job and more trained professionals, and we need to up the pay so we get better employee, like all this stuff, this sounds like the worst job in the world, and I would not want to do it for a variety of reasons. I'm not that good of a person, and I
think I'd be good at it.
You meet some really incredible people working there. Like, I mean, you meet a lot of real bad at life people, but you meet some people that go, if you didn't do drugs, you know how, like, they're super smart people.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, like, just, like you're saying, get them cleaned up so they can get real jobs. Like, man, some of these people are smarter than people and hardworking. But
I have these people in my family, so I echo what you're saying.
Yeah.
What you're saying is exactly right. Just because they have a drug problem doesn't mean that we turn our back and we just go, well, sorry, you're a lost cause.
Oh, yeah.
That's ridiculous. But this has been a really good weird job, maybe a little more serious weird job. But hey, man, you're a good person for doing that.
How much does he make?
Well, yeah, what?
Well, I mean, I had a vested interest because I went there back in 2013 as a patient. So like that's why when I went there to work there.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's rad, man. That's really cool.
Well, the thing is, it was great because when the people would complain about stuff, like the patients, I'd be like, dude, I've literally been in that same chair. Like, I've been there, done that. And they're like, no, you haven't. I said, you want to bet?
Yeah.
And then because some of the nurses that were there, they'd be like, yeah, he was here. And I said, so. And it was great because they would listen to me, and I wouldn't boss them. I'd be like, hey, man, you mind fold your bed, man. Like just, and they'd do it. But the Jamaican ladies that were working there that yelled at them, they'd be like, I'm doing it. But they'd listen to me because, I don't know, there was that mutual respect. And
Tom doesn't listen to Jamaican ladies either. You have a weird problem with that. I don't know why you do that. He's like, he says, I don't listen to anyone tropical.
They should,
and I'm like, that's not nice.
Like anybody that has made it through addiction and rehab and come out the other side, it's almost like we should have some system where then you are eligible to then be
2 votes.
Be trained to be a therapist in one of these facilities and get paid higher. So it's almost like it's an incentive to get through your addiction because then you can get paid something.
At the very least, you should get free Disney Plus. When you get out,
because you're 100% right.
Or you get to choose between Netflix, Disney Plus, or Hulu.
Yeah.
Having
Hulu, no ads.
3 months free.
Having employees in these places that have been through it is the most valuable because like you said, you've been through it anyway. I mean, God, we need to do something.
And
God.
And when I went there as a patient back in 2013, most of the people working there, the HSTs, were people in recovery. And not only would they be like, no, I understand, and they can explain things to me better. I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. But they'd also realize if you're feeding them a load of BS, they're like, no, I'm not buying that. Like, no, not happening. So it was like, it was really good, tough love, and some people need that. I definitely did. So
we waste so much taxpayer dollars on garbage that just complete. I mean, ask anybody who works for the county, the city. It's just like so much is waste.
Eye-watering.
Put it in something to better our society. God,
how much money did you end up making while you were there?
So I maxed out at $12.50 an hour.
Ooh,
it's a hard job.
That's not enough.
I had a feeling that was going to be another problem too. Yeah. The other problem is you're not being compensated enough to do such a hard job.
It's a labor of love for me. It is still. If I ever wanted to go back there, which they totally would love to have me back there because I showed up on time. It's actually one of the higher paying jobs in our county. That's a pretty decent job in our county, which tells you about the rest of the situation here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But raise the pay. By God, I'll pay more taxes for that.
Yeah.
But first, I want you to stop wasting my GD taxes before I pay more.
Let me look at your budget better.
Anyway, so Robert, thanks for
thanks for being so candid, dude. That was really cool.
Anytime. I appreciate it.
All right, dude.
You are this week's winner, and stay safe out there, as Tom says.
All right. I love you, Tom.
Wow. I love the fact he got you.
I don't know.
He got you at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know that guy. He could have herpes.
Yeah.
He's wearing a mask.
Yeah. Just because you're a good person doesn't mean that you're not riddled with disease.
Yeah.
You know how many diseased, riddled people I know that are really upstanding, fine people? Can't think of one right now, but I know they're out there.
It is just such a damn shame we can't get that better. Like this guy's watching a VHS video, and then they're like, "All right, you're ready."
That's your training. That's ridiculous.
I looked to see if
that's what I got in Champ Sports.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I looked to see if there was some training. I found some mental health training videos.
Oh, okay.
Here's one for UCF.
Well, that says UCF Police Department.
Uh-oh. Am I allowed to play that?
I mean, I think you can, but...
Well, that's part of the thing with the whole defund the police. They want to transfer that money to these facilities. That's one of the things about it.
Well, it's just they have to have more money. It's just ridiculous. We have such a huge problem, addiction, and society is like, all right, we let pharmaceutical companies come in and just give everybody pain pills, and then we have a big problem, and then aren't they? I mean, they're suing those places, those big pharmaceutical.
Was Johnson and Johnson getting in big trouble for that?
Take that money. Aren't they taking that money and investing it into rehabs? But who knows?
No, it's probably getting funneled somewhere else.
It's a mess. That's why I don't even get. I'm just like, whatever. You guys are ruining it.
Well, that'll make things change.
Yeah, I know.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of
I
work.
just like giving up, too.
Yeah.
Up to nothing.
Yeah.
And Dennis 2020.
I keep giving up on the show, but it keeps going.
Well, that's because we're
I'm
getting
in
our
here.
listeners to do the segments
I
now.
know.
so-
Yeah, like I come in here and I just kind of go like this. I just put my hands out, and then everything just kind of goes.
I got nothing to plug, so like I have no game in this right
Now
now.
let's give up now.
I give up.
We give up. Welcome back to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. Let's beef.
With us today on Skype, the beefiest guest we have.
Some would say that this guy, he takes no guff. He's handsome and rough.
I like that.
If you give him any guff, he'll stuff
Your muff.
your mouth. Sam, that was uncalled for. You're fired.
And now I'm in trouble.
How dare you say that?
Don't say that.
Sam said she wants you to stuff her mouth.
I did not say that.
It is RT Beefs.
Beef Bonanza.
It's Ray
Beef Bonanza.
from the Kramer Law Firm. It's Ray Trindley. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I feel a lot more like a cattle salesman than I do an attorney today.
But that's
You
fine.
guys keep mentioning beef and what's for dinner, and
That's not
my
what
cowboy nature.
I completely blocked out beef. It's funny how Muff seems to erase it.
Also, why did Winn-Dixie go heavy on the beef?
The beef people.
They're the beef people.
Was there like a supply problem of beef, and then they wanted to advertise
they
like
have
we
the
got
best
the beef?
quality.
They've got great beef, though. If you
They
compare
do.
their beef with some of the other local supermarkets, it's fantastic.
Yeah, my
Is it better?
dad always swore by Winn-Dixie beef.
Look,
So does my
RT
mom.
Beefs knows his beef.
This guy
do.
kills things and eats his own. So he
Yeah.
knows. I mean, this guy's he's from farm to table.
So they do have better
Absolutely.
beef.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They have better muffs too.
I'm a big ribeye guy.
Oh, I
and
bet.
Whenever I get ribeyes, I go to Winn-Dixie. They've got really good meat, good quality cuts.
It's weird that they like let's go heavy on the meat. Everything else, there's a Bahamas in here.
You can get your checks. You can get your check soda from there too. Listen, they got good stuff.
Get your protein and Dr. Check.
Yeah. This is like we got good beef, but the
but
fruit fly.
Yeah, that's true. They do have fruit
Our
flies.
beef is phenomenal, but when you walk down the aisle,
No
you're gonna turn around and Rick Grimes is right there with you.
And they make a joke about the feet, and like anytime you have dirty feet, we become synonymous with it. It's like, really? How did that happen? You focus too much on the beef.
We
They
went
put all their money in the
Yeah.
beef.
We went all beef and forgot shoes.
People have made a joke that people with dirty feet have Winn-Dixie feet,
Yeah,
and then
I know.
that's now a thing. You focus too much on the beef.
You know, my grandma used to have. Some would say she was on the spectrum in some weird way because she would mess up colloquial phrases, like horribly. Like she would say, "You can't pull the wool over my legs."
Okay.
Right? Another one she said she could never say the name Winn-Dixie. She said Trixie Den.
All right. Yeah.
Maybe she was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible.
Do you guys remember when Winn-Dixie used to have the salad bars in them?
No, you must have had a fancy one.
I've seen a wing
Down
bar.
in South Florida, they used to have a Winn-Dixie that
We had a wing bar,
was
yeah.
maybe a quarter mile from my house. And so when I get home from school, I'd go pick up a salad bar from there. I loved that place when I was a kid.
Oh, that's weird for RT. They're like, oh, his name's RT Beefs, but he's at the salad bar. This is crazy.
Got to stay lean.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Ray, what do you want to talk about today? Do you got some subjects? Do we got some listener questions?
Yeah, I got some quite a few listener questions, and I'm going to kind of start with a broad category. There's two questions about custody and family law, so I'm going to start with those first.
Okay.
The first is, I don't want to say an emergency, but I can certainly see it as an emergency. The question is, I had court today where my ex-wife was ordered to follow a time-sharing schedule from 2 years ago. We have an 8-year-old daughter. I've got custody. Her mom has unsupervised visitation, and now she's refusing to drop her off, and the soonest I can get a hearing is October 2nd.
Yes.
So the court system's backed up, obviously, because of COVID. They had to stop everything. Now restarting, and then they're doing like virtual. But I imagine it caused a lot of problems.
Well, it depends on the judge specifically, because the state of Florida and the Florida Supreme Court have kind of left it to the counties. But then, as I'm sure you're not surprised, some judges are more tech savvy than others. And so what I found is some judges are rolling through their cases virtually, and it's almost faster with some of these judges. And then for other judges, it's almost as if nothing is happening because they're just not tech savvy enough to be able to operate, Skype or Teams or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, what's that, Ray? You mean to tell us that it's case by case and each judge is a different individual? It's exactly what's happening with schools. Some kids some kids are actually you don't hear about them, but some kids are actually excelling because of virtual learning or whatever, and some kids absolutely cannot do that. So that is interesting. But yeah, I've heard from a buddy of mine who's also an attorney that the particular judge that he was in front of, it was going very slow. Very slow.
Yeah, and that happens. I mean, we had a trial that's now part 3 of a trial, and the judge just isn't very tech savvy. So just the documents that we're trying to submit and use as evidence, it's just a disaster. So, and like I said, I've got other judges where we're flying through. But, to this listener's question and to the point, I don't know who your judge is, but I certainly wouldn't want to be in front of them on October 2nd and then trying to explain myself as to why I haven't, done the exchange the way I was ordered to. And, sometimes people play dumb and they say, I didn't know what I was supposed to do, and I just made a mistake. It's hard to say that when you were just in front of the judge and the judge just told you what to do.
A little bit more backstory on this one, too. I don't think he included it in the question, but I did see him make some posts about it. The ex-wife has the daughter now, and she's kind of MIA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he's like trying to figure out what he can do because they're basically telling him he can't do anything until October 2nd, and meanwhile his kid missed her first day of school and he has no idea where she is.
Okay, you just designed my perfect nightmare. I would be unconsolable. Or
so, I mean, a couple of things on that. I mean, that's good feedback. I appreciate that, Sam. I mean, here's kind of the stuff that I would be doing. The first is you got to figure out where she is and where your kid is. And sometimes that's easier said than done. Sometimes there's a technological solution. If the kid has their own cell phone, maybe turning on a GPS. Sometimes it's alerting local authorities and having them do a child wellness check just to see, if they can find the car or see if the kid is, on the premises. And then obviously your worst case scenario is notifying the State Department and trying to flag your child's passport and mom's passport so that way they can't flee the country.
See, I wouldn't even think of that. I was sitting here trying to think about what I would do, and that's terrifying, man.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other part of it is, especially, given the fact that you were just in front of this judge, is, maybe at that point it's time for a child pickup order, right? So basically what a child pickup order is, normally if you go to a cop and say, hey, my ex-wife isn't giving me my kid, they say, well, it's a civil matter, wait for a judge to decide.
Right.
But what a child pickup order is, an order enforcing law enforcement or telling law enforcement you need to pick up this kid immediately. And then normally what happens is they either call dad and dad shows up to the scene and picks up the kid, or, they arrange for, unfortunately, somebody at DCF to be involved for that transfer. But, I'm always a big proponent of, if you can get a parent there, it's usually going to be a better situation for the kid as opposed to, a hostile situation with law enforcement, DCF, and then ultimately turning it over. So that's definitely a tenuous situation and something you want to be on top of, and probably let the judge's assistant know if you're unrepresented. Hey, this is what's happening. I was just in front of the judge. The judge said this is what needs to happen. Mom's obviously not happy and is now absconded with my child. Can I get some kind of emergency hearing just to be heard and see what a judge can, figure out?
Ray, sometimes I think people they prematurely escalate the situation bigger than it needs to be, and I'll explain. Every once in a while, you'll hear about these Amber Alerts, so we'll get an Amber Alert.
Oh, man, last week I think we got 3 of them.
But then you later find out that it was just a parent that took the kid without permission from the other parent and weren't calling back. And then the other parent, out of like spite and maybe worry, but also like maybe I can't get anybody to do anything unless I claim that this person abducted my kid. You know what I'm saying? Then you escalate it to a situation where they put out an Amber Alert. You got the police looking for this kid. Now, meanwhile,
there's some pretty strict rules for the Amber Alert thing to get an official Amber Alert out. I thought it's not just saying, "Hey, my ex-husband won't return my kid."
No. Well, they weren't saying the truth. I think there was one that the ex-husband said because they knew that if they said that, well, my ex-wife, the baby's mama, has the kid, they're not going to obviously treat that the same as an abduction. But I think there was a dad that said, like, someone took my kid and, like, didn't tell the police the whole story. And then it caused an Amber Alert.
Right. They did say that, but they said a stranger took my kid, ended up being the parent. Yes, that's different.
It is.
Right. And that's how people try to trick the system. But I can tell you that law enforcement generally frowns upon that. And
please.
You don't want to be explaining yourself. Be like, oh, well, I described the person as a person who looks just like my ex-wife, but I didn't know it was her. Mm-hmm. That generally doesn't go over very well. And you could get yourself into legal trouble for that. But in addition to all the other stuff, with missing school, being 8 years old, that's elementary school age. You've got truancy potential issues and all kinds of other ramifications where you can get other state agencies, DCF, SINS, FINS, et cetera, involved to kind of put together a team to, help you out here.
Yeah, and it seems like my wife's more involved with the other moms in the school, and they all talk about what's going on. And
crow's nest is what I call that.
Yeah, when they get in the crow's nest. They've been talking about, like, especially kids like that live in poverty and stuff, where they will opt for the virtual school, whatever, but never even log on. Like, the teacher will see,
That's what I'm doing.
So they'll just so the kids are not getting any education during this time because maybe the parents don't got it together or there's some problems. You know what I'm saying? And so
I don't know if you did you guys follow that case that was filed by the Florida Teachers Union about the state administrative order, or not state administrative order, but the state executive order to have schools reopen? Did you guys follow that at all?
You mean the brick and mortar, and then they deemed it unconstitutional? Yeah. I was reading that yesterday.
So that was one of the arguments that was actually raised by the state of Florida, was the idea that these children that are generally more susceptible to abuse, abandonment, or neglect, generally lower income, parents are working or maybe dealing with substance abuse issues, that those children are slip between the cracks because they're not going to school, their parents aren't checking in on them, and normally, and this is really unfortunately so, it's the teachers, it's the administrators at these schools that are ones catching the fact that these children are being neglected or abused, and then they report it to the authorities. And that's, unfortunately how our system kind of works. And so it's a little bit easier to track and isolate those incidents as opposed to virtual school where you're supposed to check in, once or twice a week or every other week, depending on the classroom structure. Yeah. And then, how many of those missed opportunities do you take before you say, hey, I think there might be something going on with this kid. He's missed 4 of these appointments over the course of the last 6 weeks. Maybe somebody should go take a look. And now it's been 2 months and the kid is, maybe in a bad situation. Right. So that was one of the arguments the state made. And, again, tragic that that's what it takes, to find that stuff out. But
it is nuts. Yeah. I mean, you when you see some people that are parents and you're like, whoa, God, there's stuff like you said, the addiction or mental illness and all this stuff, and then and sometimes these kids, the only outlet or the only place they have to get away from it is school, and then you took that away from them.
My mom my mom was a lifelong educator, and that was the number one thing she would see is that she felt, even retiring, she felt like there was a strange obligation for her to even work longer.
Yeah,
because she knew for a fact that she was helping certain kids who just had trash people parents.
Yeah.
And I remember how conflicted she was because, in fact, she probably stayed in a good year, 2 years longer than she should have because she cares for the kids so much.
And trash people, they love cream pieing. That's the worst part.
Yeah. And they love people, that will do their jobs for them.
Oh, yeah.
Once they find a person like my mom, it's like, oh, yeah, well, it's taken care of now.
Yeah.
Who cares?
This lady cares. She'll do it.
Between that
you guys remember the show, That 70s Show?
Oh, yeah.
Don't talk about Danny Masterson.
That was one of my favorite shows when I was in high school and whenever it was out. And we started rewatching it, my wife and I did. And we're at the part of the show where Hyde's mom abandons him. She runs off with a trucker. And my wife was like, you know what? I want you to know, if one of our kids' friends, their parents run off on them, we're going to take them in. And I said, listen, do you know anything about Danny Masterson's legal troubles?
Exactly.
We're not letting that kid in our house.
No,
that's right.
It's terrible.
But I think that's a common thread with teachers or people in the education system is they want to help kids, and my wife's a teacher, and so she wants to help kids. And they're kind of
beef draws the line at Scientology rape.
It's nothing to do with Scientology.
Not in this house.
It has everything to do with the other part.
Right.
Yeah. Because sometimes, once the kid is so messed up, you look at his eyes, you're like, oh, this
Well, you got to get him professional help.
This one's too far
It's
out.
the sideburns.
All he's talking about is the sideburns. He's talking about the Sea Org, and he's wearing some weird outfits. And he's talking about some man with rotten teeth who has a navy.
He's rapey. It's bad.
All right, so the other family law question I have as a slight detour is I've had custody of my son for 4 years. Biological mom lives in Georgia, hasn't seen our son since June 1, 2016. No support is ordered. Visitation or time sharing is non-existent. I've got full custody. What do we do for an adoption? Normally I like to talk off the cuff and say, give people instructions on what to do. For adoption, it's a pretty paperwork specific process. I'm going to tell you to talk to a lawyer. Generally speaking, there's a lot that you can do to do this as a step parent adoption. It's going to require a termination of biological mom's rights and then obviously the adoption for stepmom. But like I said, it's a very paperwork specific process. You're going to want to talk to a lawyer and make sure that you have your I's dotted and your T's crossed because, it's an emotional process. And, the beautiful part is at the end of it all, you're going to have a new family and you're going to be able to start afresh.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a wonderful thing, but you want to make sure you do it properly so that way you don't run into any roadblocks.
But it's not like a real family, right?
It's absolutely a real family.
But I mean, like in the eyes of the law, it is. But I mean, to those of us that have like
not under the the eyes of the Lord.
Yeah, to those of us that have real families, like
the Lord knows.
And I know when I look and I go, that kid doesn't look anything like them.
So Ray,
that's not their kid.
So this person's
real.
Not the biological parent. The biological mom is MIA, and this guy is.
I'm assuming biological dad. I mean,
right? Yeah.
So what do you mean by adoption? So he's got a
wife now.
So he's both the legal and biological parent.
Yeah.
And then you've got mom, who's both the legal and biological parent. And what an adoption essentially does is it severs the relationship between biological and legal. So mom gets no more legal rights. She's still biologically, genetically related, but then stepmom kind of fills that gap. And now you've got a new family, and you've got a legal mom and a legal and biological dad together.
Gotcha.
And then if mom and dad, or if bio dad and legal mom were to get divorced, they'd fight over custody of.
It'd be the same, yeah. Under the eyes of the law, it'd be the same. Now, doesn't the biological mom have to sign off on that or something? Isn't it hard to? It's hard to take rights away from a biological mom, right?
So there's two ways to do it. One is a consented to process. And that's kind of where I talk about you've got some flexibility on how you want to do that. But basically the idea is mom signs off on it and says, I don't want to have to pay child support. I don't want to have to be responsible. And then they just sign off on all the paperwork. And then the other process is an involuntary situation where mom's rights are terminated by the state of Florida. And that's usually based off abuse, abandonment, or neglect.
Gotcha. Well, Ray, isn't it true? Like, I've seen some instances like this, and friends and family, and they and behind the scenes. Now, I don't know, like, the legality of this. You'll probably not comment on, but I've seen situations.
Those are the best questions to ask.
I've seen situations where you got a biological parent, male or female, and they're mentally ill and an addict, and they haven't been a part of the life. But to get them to sign over,
tough.
Because to go and have the court system do it, it takes a lot longer than if they just sign it themselves. And sometimes it's best to just pay them off. And they'll do it for the money because they're an addict or mentally ill and stuff and be like, hey, I'll give you $10,000 if you sign this paperwork.
Yeah, you almost went the path of least resistance at some point because
it's better for the kid.
Yeah, and you have to weigh it out because that particular parent might be a lost cause. And I hate to say that, but
sometimes it is, man. And
I know.
We see those types of instances, and again, you hit the nail on the head. I'm not going to necessarily say pay off somebody in exchange for a kid, but
I will.
I mean, I'll take a real case example. And it's heartbreaking. Dad had some troubles early on in life when they first had the child, got his life together, was rebuilding his career, built a family, and then mom kind of fell into drugs and alcohol. And, we tried doing it like a consented to process. Mom refused. We ended up having a trial. And when mom found out that she owed dad, and I forgot that exact dollar amount, but let's say $10,000 in back child support, the first thing she responded with is, hey, can I give the kid up in exchange for not having to pay this $10,000 in child support? And, as heartbreaking as that is, that's not the only story I have like that, And unfortunately, money is kind of, whether you're an addict or you just have your priorities messed up, a big incentive for somebody.
That's mental illness because we all have our kids and we all know our wives and everybody that is not mentally ill, you love your kid more than you love your own life and the whole world's lives.
But that's not everybody.
You would no. Well, I think you would have to have a mental illness not to think that way. At least to the moms that I know, they would be like, I couldn't even comprehend giving up my child or not being a part of my child's life. Like, that is insane to me and to probably every 99% of people listening to this. But then you got those rare, situations of like real bad addict mental illness, and you're like, oh, God, you feel bad.
I'm hardly a mental health expert, but oftentimes what I think I see is you've got somebody with an underlying mental illness, sometimes diagnosed, sometimes it's not diagnosed. And then what they've done for a certain period of time is they've self-treated, whether it's drugs or it's alcohol. Yeah. And so now you've got substance abuse dependence. You've got mental health issues, and normally you have a divergence, right? Yeah. So
it's like, which problem do you tackle first? Because there's so many.
If we'll create a theoretical scenario where you and your wife get together, you're both big partiers, you both like to, you use drugs recreationally, you use alcohol recreationally.
All right, keep going.
One of you gets out of it and one of you stays in that cycle, and now you've got kids, that's a really hard adjustment.
Stop right there. You just described the show. We've got
it's a hard adjustment.
One with no kids.
Yeah. You're right. And it's just, I think people just have a hard time understanding how anybody can not be a part of their child's lives because of the way they feel. And they're like, I don't understand. How could you possibly and sometimes you equate it with laziness or like selfishness. And it's like, no, it's beyond that.
But I know a guy though. Problem. I know a guy who I'm not sure I would necessarily say it's mental illness. I guess it's a varying degree. It is. Yeah.
Well, with dads, it's a little different.
I
Like,
know
selfishness can play more into it.
This guy just doesn't care, and he's just a normal guy, but he just didn't want to have a kid.
Didn't want kids. Didn't want
had a kid, and doesn't care about it.
Also, as a male, and I think there's probably psychologists, and Ray, you'd probably agree with this. As the male of our species, and being like a dad or a father, if you don't have a bonding like years or like a time with your kid, there is you won't have the same bond that we all grew up with, being with your kid all the time. You have to develop a bond with, because that the mother has the bond because the baby grew in its body. Yeah. So it's like a different relationship. The father has to create a bond, even though you have an instant bond, but you need to work on it. So then the dad that just takes off or whatever never created the bond. Then it's not the same as, like, let's say all of us that have bonds with our kids. Like, this dad was never part of the kid's life, so it didn't, he has no idea and doesn't feel the same way.
Nothing there. Yeah.
I think it's an individual basis. I think just like there are moms that are more maternal, I think there are dads that are more paternal. I would say this, and it's something my wife and I have talked about. To a certain degree, all of my kids when they were born resembled me when I was a child, and my logic on that, and again, I don't have any information or studies on this, is that helps with that bond, right? Like, you see a little bit of yourself in your children, which makes you want to love and take care of that child.
Oh yeah. There's science. I think there's science saying that at the very beginning, newborns look like their father to stop the father from killing the newborn. Like this,
I just saw that on a show last night.
Through evolution, like I'm talking about.
It's the only thing that kept Maisie alive when she was born. I mean, I was inches away
I'd
from...
never heard that before until last night.
I was inches away from throwing her off a cliff.
Because in the mammal world, and this happens like with lions and things like that, where if you go in there and let's say you're the alpha male, and then you'll have sex with a mini female, but there will be other males that so you want to make sure that female is having your baby and not some other person's baby. So it's like advantageous for the baby to look like the father. Therefore, it has a better chance of living, and like that just carried on or something.
And that's why we have Maury.
Not the father.
But anyway,
did you dance? You did. You never
so weird.
This kid doesn't have a father, and you're moonwalking down stage. Yeah. You're so happy. This is a sad.
Hold on.
This is a sad day.
Wait, what's that? So nobody knows who his dad is? Let me tootsie slide real fast.
That's how the show continues on, right? Yeah. The show continues on with this cliffhanger.
People are cheering in the crowd.
And
this
you're
guy's
pulling
dancing.
out old moves
this
like
kid
Roger
has no
Rabbit,
father.
like Running Man.
This lady's had sex with so many different men. She has no idea who the father is, and we're cheering, and the guy's dancing. Maury Povich. What paperwork do you have?
The guy is literally doing the stanky leg on the stage. It's awesome.
And didn't you love this kid at one point? You should be sad that he. She.
You haven't watched Maury. They don't love this.
No, it's not. No, the ones that I hate are the ones where the guy's like, and the guy usually sounds like this. Sorry if I'm stereotyping, but he usually sounds like this. He's usually like, well, today we're going to find out if she's actually my daughter. She's finally taking a test. It's usually like that.
That sounded a lot like Forrest Gump.
Yeah, it's like that. And then they take it and he's like, well, I don't care what anybody says. She's still my daughter. And then everybody claps.
Yeah.
And then to build it up, Maury's like, after the 5th paternal test, like,
he's ramping it up.
You're shaming the lady because that means that you, slept around a little bit. And then they're like, not the father.
The 90s
take a leg.
Weren't they?
That's still happening, right?
Is it really?
Still on TV, yeah.
Maury?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
that blows my mind. Yeah. I guess since I don't stay home and watch daytime TV anymore, I've lost that. But, Jerry Springer, Maury.
Jerry Springer's a judge now.
Yeah, Judge Jerry. My dad coasted into the grave watching Maury. It was his favorite show. He loved it.
What was the one girl? She had one, and she's been on and off the air.
Catch Me Outside? Who you talking about? From Maury?
Oh, you're talking about...
Oh, that's Dr. Phil.
Well, lately, I've been trying to get out of here fast enough so I can catch a bit of Kelly Clarkson. That's a good show.
Kelly Clarkson has a TV show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Beefs, you got to get on the daytime TV.
Yeah, it's good. Yesterday, PewDiePie was on.
Ricky Lake, right? Is that
right? Ricky Lake. I miss Ricky Lake.
Yeah. Did you hear Richard Bay died?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, they found him face first in Ricky Lake. He dropped.
And that's the show.
That's from 1989.
You got Samantha with a straight
Richard Bay?
hard dad joke.
My dad, if there is a heaven.
Oh, he's laughing.
He's moonwalking and Steaky Legend.
Yeah,
he spit out his cloud whiskey.
If you go outside today and you're walking down the road and you get hit in the face with just random whiskey, that was my dad spitting it out of the clouds. He's laughing.
In heaven.
I did create a thread in our BDM group for these questions, and we did get a late one last night from our buddy Ron.
Okay.
And he said,
our buddy Ron?
Yeah.
I love his question.
And he said, is it illegal for Ray to flex for me?
Oh, okay.
That's a question from Ron, not me.
I got to make sure I don't hurt anybody.
Oh, don't hurt him, Hammer.
Yeah, you're going to blow
Bust through his buttons.
your business shirt off.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the girls at the office actually told me how to work today, so that's why I'm actually dressed up for work. But
Can you lick your
pecs
today?
Oh, my God.
Lick your pecs.
Don't do it, Ray. Don't get into it. Just politely decline.
Back away.
I've always been self-conscious, and I can't figure out biologically what's going on back. I only flex my right pec and make it bounce. My left one just kind of slightly pounced.
Oh, you got a bad left pec?
Oh yeah.
I guess so. I don't know the logic, but I'm sure some neurological deficit I have. That,
I don't think these two guys can flex any of their pecs, so I think you're fine.
No,
you flex yours first.
You know what I think I did last time we were on. I think I did say I was going to do a shirtless episode. So
what?
Maybe
I don't remember.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Well, Ray, they can call you, Mike Kramer Law Firm, if they have any questions about this, because it seems like a lot of people deal with a lot of this situation. It's bad for some of them.
Yeah, and what I'd say out there for anybody dealing with family law issues or any legal issues in general is, there's a lot of help out there. A lot of people try to do it their own. Myself included. A lot of attorneys don't charge for those initial consultations. And so reach out to an attorney, get some guidance, because if you don't know where the pitfalls are, you could end up with a worse situation than you're in currently. So, reach out. We're happy to help, and, don't hesitate.
Cool. Well, Ray, we appreciate it. It's Mike Kramer Law Firm, onefirmforlife.com, and we'll be talking to you, Ray.
All right, you guys take care. Stay safe.
All right, you too, man. Stay safe out there.
Bye.
Bye.
That's our good friend RT Beefs, Ray Trenley, the Kramer Law Firm.
Oh,
I
man.
love beefs.
I know. So many people deal with these issues with they have a kid and then they.
That was most of the questions we got.
Which one of us is
like
going to deal with it?
I feel like.
Do you think Butler will ever have kids? We know Sam's out of the game. We know the baby factory. She don't want none.
I think Butler's got limited time if he wants to.
But I think
on
he wants kids.
Yeah?
I think he does.
Yeah. He needs a friend.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he does. He needs a little chopper.
So then he can buy candy and say it's for the kid. Right?
Little chopper buddy.
Yeah, he needs a little chopper.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be the cutest thing ever. Both of them just walking down the road, kicking everything inside.
They'd be like, chop.
What is his first word? He's like, hi.
Yeah, but then Butler'd be the old dad.
I'm an old dad.
Yeah. But he's gonna be older because.
He will be older. I barely got that out. Barely. I got to put one more pie in the oven.
You get it on 30. He'll be in his 40s.
Even me, though, I worry about it. Some days I can't get out of bed, so I got to pump myself up with cortisone. And I'm literally shooting every inch of my body to get out of bed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt here, but Tracy Claus in the chat said that she almost was on Ginny Jones back in the day, and we were asking her how, and she said, me and my college roommate made up a whole story about a cheating scandal just for free tickets to Chicago when we were in college, but we decided it wasn't a good idea before we went.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of people that would just make up stories.
That was mostly Jerry Springer, right? A lot of that was just
we know one of the writers
on TV.
Yeah, he was like a professional wrestler, and he'd write angles for the show.
God, Tracy, you could have been on Ginny Jones.
But there was a lot of people that would just make up this thing, and they realized if they're just convincing enough, they'll put them on TV. Most of them are lying. flies.
Jenny Jones, that was the show where a guy got killed, right?
Yeah.
Because it was like a reveal, a crush
he outed-
reveal,
he outed
and it was
the
a
guy,
gay
yeah,
guy, and then he didn't want to be
He didn't want to be
outed,
perceived as he was gay because
Yeah.
that guy had a crush on
right,
him.
so he killed him or
Yeah.
something. Oh,
If you
my
watch
God.
90s television, it was bad.
It was the Wild West, dude.
It was.
Yeah, people were doing horrible things.
But I stayed home from school to watch it.
oh,
I'll tell
yeah.
you, I'd skip school if I knew something. I was like, "What? There's punk rock Nazis on Jenny Jones."
What was the uncensored Jerry Springer DVD?
Too hot for TV.
That was it,
yeah.
right?
I bought it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
me-
I
I
rented
still
it.
have
You
it.
gotta rent.
I still have
Video
it.
news
I
or
don't have a
whatever.
VCR.
Yeah.
Oh, I got one.
It would be.
I'll bring it
Actually,
then.
Owen has it right now,
Like-
but
What's he have? Oh, I don't want
he's
to know.
watching all his
Oh.
childhood like auditions.
Girls would fight and they'd pull each other's tees out. You'd be
Yeah.
like, "Their tees!"
Yeah,
come
yeah,
out."
yeah.
And they're like, yes.
yeah. Like, how funny is it? You're that starved just to look at some tees. You're buying the the VHS
We had all-
of Jerry
we had-
Springer uncensored.
We had
What?
We had Jerry
And those
Springer.
aren't going to be the most quality tees.
No.
We had Jerry Springer. I think it was Jerry Uncensored is what it was called. We had Cops, Too Hot for TV.
Oh yeah.
And we had Girls Gone Wild. That was like the trifecta of like the entertainment in my stilt house. I lived on the beach in St. Augustine,
Yeah.
and we'd come in and we'd like drink beers or smoke weed, and we'd put on like Girls Gone Wild.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Anything too hot for TV.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Jerry Springer Uncensored, Jerry Springer Undressed, Unleashed, and Uncensored.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's,
that's the
where
one.
tees
That's
are.
the one Tom's talking about.
There's
All right.
a lot of uncensored. Okay.
Oh,
Yep, bye-bye.
welcome back to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Dan.
I'm Tom. Let's do some voicemail. I know we got a bunch.
We do indeed. If you would like to leave us a voicemail, you can do so. Download our free app. And yeah, it's completely free. All of our content's on there. You can connect with the show via Facebook. You can sign up to be a BDM member. You can also download all of our content all in one spot. Just search Mediocre App or Tom and Dan app wherever you download your apps. Let's try this one right here.
Hey guys, good afternoon. Listening to a Corporate Time replay, and these guys talking about Taco Tuesdays, and Tom's talking about going to Publix to get the ingredients for tacos. He just says to the cashier, just shut up and bag my groceries or ring it up or whatever he says. That caused one of the biggest fights that my girlfriend and I have ever been in. There's a cashier and a bag boy. They were just talking the entire time, and we were in a hurry to go somewhere. And I looked at him and said, "You're not getting paid to talk. Please ring up my groceries." She damn near left me that day. She walked out of the store and drove off and left me there at the Publix. But that caused the biggest fight that we've ever been in, me telling the cashier to literally or actually shut up and bag my groceries.
Well, it does show a sign of that you're a D-head.
Yeah,
so.
You didn't need to do that.
I don't tell them anything.
No.
I'm just telling you guys what I'm thinking in my head.
Yeah, don't be rude.
I'm nice. I'm like, I always say, I do the fake laugh on Taco Tuesday, ha. And then I like, thank you. I mean, I'm always polite to everybody.
Well, you can
but
say
I'm just
anything. Like, you
Yeah.
can look at them and say, like, guys, I'm really sorry. I'm kind of in a hurry. I apologize. And they'll be fine.
No, don't even do that.
No.
Just,
No, I always do that. I
just stand there,
Just
take
laugh
it.
awkwardly,
No.
look down.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
just
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
It always works better.
No, because it comes off passive aggressive.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It only comes off passive aggressive if it is passive aggressive. Like if somebody comes to this door and says, "Can I interest you?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, man, I'm not, and I don't want to waste your time." Okay, thanks.
Well,
that's not passive aggressive.
That's different than if they're like
You got to stand there and wait for them to scan the rest of
a
your groceries.
Yeah, because then now you're acting like their boss. If a cashier's talking to the bag boy and you're like, "Excuse me, I'm in a hurry," I'll be like, "Oh, okay." Well, like, immediately I'll think you're a D head or a.
Well, that's you. I don't. I
Bitch.
think I could do that with all of us in line. In fact, I'll do it. I'll do it as an.
No.
Oh,
I
you're
mean,
gonna
what-
make me and Tom
No,
uncomfortable.
what are they
you're-
gonna say?
You're gonna video
Dude, they're
it.
gonna be mad at you.
You're gonna
saying
video
something.
it. I don't care.
They all love you up there too.
They
so
do love me.
All of a sudden, you're like,
I'm the golden
I don't
boy
have
there.
time to
Like when
talk
I
to
walk
you.
in,
Well,
they're all like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, guys?
You not ca-
Mr. Cool's here."
you did just recruit the deli boy.
Also,
I did recruit the
you
deli
not
boy.
caring about pissing him off is different than you not pissing him off.
I don't
That's
think
true.
I don't think
Yeah.
I'll piss them off because I'm not gonna say anything that's piss offable.
Yeah, if you say, "Excuse me, I'm in a hurry, so can you
Wrap
do your
this
job
up?"
faster?" Or like,
No, I'm not
because
gonna
you're-
say it like that.
You're implying that
No, I'm gonna say
there's-
like, guys, I have to go somewhere and I can't talk like if they're asking me something, I'm be like, I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry, guys. I'm really, really sorry. You just apologize. Put it on you. It's not on them. I'll say you're not doing anything wrong.
But
I'm doing something wrong.
But is that making them do? Because usually they're talking as they're ringing up, so it's not like it's slowing their job down necessarily. It's just
the one that I hate is the person in front of me that's done with their transaction.
Yes.
And then they continue to carry on.
Oh, that's the customer's fault.
A whole conversation.
Cut it off. Yeah, if you start engaging into a conversation, as soon as that credit card, as soon as they hand you a receipt, that is the international that you have to go. Like you can't stick around and like finish off. You just go. That receipt handoff is the international sign for get the hell out of here now.
Yeah, your transaction is complete.
Also,
I don't want receipts anymore.
We're in a pandemic. Stop the small talk. Just politely nod and just cut it off as fast as possible. You know.
I would almost like it if they weren't allowed to talk.
It's just the customer service.
Well, that's why we're now doing self-checkout, right?
No, I don't want self-checkout.
I'm fine with it.
I want a person that will do it
silently.
Silently, because I don't want that lady to have to. Because every time I self-checkout, every single time, except for one, the light comes on, and then the lady at Home Depot has to come over, stick her key in the register, and turn it because I bought, batteries. I'm not allowed to buy batteries unless the lady comes over or something. Like, it's something weird that gets stolen a lot.
Well, yeah, also that and alcohol or anything.
Anything.
Tuna Daddy in the chat says he usually pulls out his own receipt off the back of the printer. Is that a D move? I say yes.
Yeah. Let them, don't touch their
Don't
stuff.
snatch your receipt out of the printer.
Yeah.
I usually...
It is right there, and I have
if
thought
it's
about...
hanging over, I think you can grab it. I don't know. I'd have to investigate this a little bit more.
We need to
more
ask
details.
a cashier because maybe it's...
Ew, I don't talk to cashiers.
Yeah, because I have... Because sometimes they're busy, and then it comes out,
Yeah,
and then it rips
falls
itself,
over.
and then I'm like, I could easily grab it, but I don't want to overstep my bounds.
The only time I ever have done it is if it's a situation where the person behind me starts chit-chatting with them, and they're not paying attention, and my transaction's complete,
you're
and my
helping.
receipt is just sitting there. I'm like, okay, thank you, and I just leave.
Okay,
I'm trying to get out of there as soon as possible. That's the only time I've ever taken the receipt out of the
You're
printer.
good at grocery shopping.
Oh, I'm efficient. In and out. I hate it.
Yeah, and...
Now I mostly just get things delivered.
I wonder if this will make the transition to mostly self-checkout, because if you think about it, the big grocery store chains and even I've seen Home Depot and Lowe's, they've gone heavy for self-checkout and stuff. Even the loss they are going to experience with things getting stolen, because for sure people are scanning things. Although that damn thing is pretty sensitive, the weight thing, where if something's in there that shouldn't be, or you have an extra wing nut sitting in there, they'd be like, something's in the bagging area. How sensitive is this goddamn thing?
It depends on the store, but yeah.
But anyway, they would save so much money with not having employees.
But it's not truly self-checkout. All they're doing is they're putting one lady in charge of 4 registers. So she sits at her kiosk, and whenever the light goes on, she solves the problem, which is basically what she was doing anyway, checking the groceries.
Yeah, but I go faster, and I don't have small talk.
I do
and I
too,
can
but
bag faster. I'm in and out so much faster.
They got to stop the light, though. They got to make it so I don't need that lady to come over.
Well,
you have to. They got to check IDs for alcohol.
Yeah,
well, put cameras. You could have cameras on it.
Acetaminophen, or not what's the
Sudafed?
Yeah, Sudafed. Then they have to check your ID. You buy a spray paint can. That still exists. That's weird, right? You have to be over 18 to buy spray paint. So there's certain things like that they have to.
That's crazy.
But I imagine that a lot of stores are going to go self-checkout. It's just less overhead for them, less employees, easier. There'll be a lot of stuff stolen, but it'll be better.
What about the arrows for the lanes? You think we're keeping those?
Because people don't seem to once everybody's wearing masks, people seem to not pay attention to the arrows. I do still, because I'm nervous about someone calling me out or getting mad at me.
I just try to abide by the rules. It's not a big deal.
If I have an item that's 3/4 into an aisle, if it's at the other end, I'll go around the long way. But if it's right there at the end and there's no one there, I'll go and get the stuff. Go the opposite of the thing.
Interesting.
But it has to be
very interesting.
within the first 20 feet of the aisle.
I bet you'd also go to a rally and you want things great again, don't you?
But you have to just be respectful for other people. So that's the whole thing of the rules. The rules are not hey, these are the rules. The rules are there to keep people away from each other. But if there's no one in the aisle, you can go ahead and go the opposite way, right? Because
that's my stance.
That's
as
what Sam and I do.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, I know, but it's the intent of the rule is to like.
Sam and I, if there are people in the aisle, we don't. If there's nobody on the aisle, we do. Because we got there first. And we know we can make it to where we're going before you're going to go down the other way, which is fine anyway. So,
and it seems like now that, like I said, everybody's wearing a mask, it puts everybody more at ease. Than at the beginning when it was like half mask, half no mask, everybody was like,
I think more people don't follow the arrows than do. Anytime I go into a store.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And a lot of it is unintentional because you forget. You just go into grocery store mode because everybody...
I went in without a mask the other day. Because I don't know, my mind was somewhere else. I was thinking about something for the show, and I got there and I walked in and I'm like, oh! And I like ran back, got my mask.
Yeah. I've done it where I walked up to the store. Also, I didn't have my mask on when I took your car.
Oh,
God damn it! You got the Ronas in my car.
Well, I was like, oh God, I don't have a mask on me. Like now it's becoming like your keys,
I had some
wallet.
In my center console.
I always carry a mask on me,
anybody
bro.
else's mask.
It's fine.
I carry a pocket mask everywhere I go, bro. When I get up in the morning, I put one right on my boys, just so I always have one on me. What do you think of Canadian Josh?
I think he's a good guy.
All right, well, maybe you'll listen to what he has to say.
Tom, Jesus. Dan, Sam, and Dobson. It's Canadian Josh. The OG show this week, Tom, you were talking about proclaiming, actually, that you will always be naked in front of your boys. You are a full nudity household. I made the same proclamation when my kids were little. We were naked butt crazy. It was no big deal. But that will change, Tom, despite the fact that you want to continue to be a naked butt household with your boys when they get older. Trust me, when they hit around 12, 13 years old, you will stop doing it when you see the look of sheer terror in their face when they see their dad walking around naked. Take it from one who knows. Love you guys. BDM for life.
He was his Canadian bacon was hanging out.
Yeah, me and my dad never stopped. So I still have hope for you, and I agree with you, Tom.
Yeah. But I do think Josh has a point, and it probably will eventually. They'll be yelling at me like, "Oh God, Dad!" Like,
put it away.
Yeah,
your sons. I saw the video that your wife posted, and your sons can do some good blammers.
Oh yeah,
they're good farters.
They were blammering?
Oh, there's a video, and at the end, I don't know which one did it, but it's
so
a trucker fart. It was just like
Max.
Jeez,
huge.
Louise.
Yeah, Max.
Good farter.
Oh, they think it's so funny too, and we laugh and laugh like idiots. You're
gonna get a note from the teacher about it.
I know. No. Well, Tommy's so good. It's ridiculous. It's like I want him to do bad now. I'm gonna have to force him to do bad things just so he can be normal. He follows the damn rules too much.
What do you want him to do?
Anything. Like I need him to break the rules.
Have him walk the wrong way down the aisle of Publix.
Have him go.
It bothers him. Like he can't do it.
Have him go shoot up a building or something.
It's abnormal to want to follow the rules that much as a kid. I think. I'm like it's too much. You know.
Yeah, maybe it'll change though. You never know. Maybe one day it'll just like lightning strikes and he'll go completely opposite. You know.
Yeah.
Once there's more peer pressure, trust he'll do something.
Yeah.
He'll feel less inclined.
Well, you need more of that influence, and he doesn't have much of that now, especially with school just rolling in, and it's weird school. It's not even like regular school.
If he's a van, he'll succumb to peer pressure.
Right.
You could peer pressure me into anything.
I'm still holding out. He'll be one of the bad ones. Let's try this guy.
T&D Media Crew, it's Concrete Mike, hope all is well. I want to clear the air up on Tom's bumbling. The window opening in his house that we cut down for the dimension. I reached out to Tom many times. Tom, you're killing me, bro. 3 different times I offered to come by and lower that down for you. Each time you had an excuse. I'm not ready. I don't have the drywall cut. I got to do this. I got to do that. And then you go hire somebody else. Bro, I was going to do it for free, Tom.
For free?
Now, wait. This is the first time he's ever done this. He hangs
on.
You hurt his heart, man. You hurt his heart. You hurt that man's heart.
He lives in Palm Bay, too far.
He offered 3 times that he thought you were his buddy.
He has to drive 45 minutes. I don't want to do it to him. And then...
you hired somebody else, right?
No.
You took the job right out from under him.
We knocked out the windowsill together, but it needed to be a little bit
Oh, he
further.
thought you guys were like construction bros.
We are. I'm not going to ask him like, hey, come drive 45 minutes.
Concrete pals.
No longer.
The other guy was already, I didn't even know he was planning on doing it anyway. So it worked out fine.
How many different concrete guys did you have on call for this project? My God.
The baker's dozen.
Is it done yet?
I've
never seen any finished photos or anything. It's like you guys went to
what
do
do you got
it.
left?
It was like, okay, this is what I saw. It was like wood on the floor, and then it was like palm trees on the side, and open cabinets, closed cabinets,
wallpaper,
and all this difference. And they threw everything at it, and then I'm like, yes, and it's like we'll never show it. You'll never see it.
We're good. 2.5 weeks away.
Oh my God!
It keeps getting pushed back. Oh God. I
don't think you even did it.
It was just never ending.
What are you waiting on now?
More concrete.
Well, now it's they finally measured, and the countertops are going in next week. But we got to reinforce the kitchen cabinets for the countertops. I get that done. Then the one appliance is back ordered till the end of September. So that'll be the last thing. Then Crystal's got to pick out some chairs that she's hemming and hawing over. She's like, do I want light brown stitching? Or I'm like, oh, my God. Just get whatever.
It's never gonna be.
Cares? Then she asked me. I finally stopped it. I was like, I don't give a goddamn what color the stitching is. I don't care. Just buy whatever. Just get it. Get it done! I can't take it.
I like just get it. For 2024, that's our slogan.
I don't care what color it is or anything. It could be
They could be novelty WrestleMania chairs.
yeah. At this point,
wouldn't care.
I just need some chairs. I was mad. I was standing and eating with a plywood countertop. I'm like, God, just get this done. Anyway, I've reached my breaking point.
Well, at least you're enjoying the new kitchen.
Yeah, because Crystal wants everything she wants. This and she notices all the details. My boys are lucky. I'm gonna tell them every day that you are lucky I'm your dad, and then you got this weird genetic deformity and mental disorder that you can't notice any details because it will serve you good in life. Because you don't want to be noticing everything around you.
The
that's
angels
wrong.
in the no-tails.
You don't want to be old Butler smelling every bad smell that he can. He smells everything.
You want a happy medium, but hey, you got the superpower, so just go with it.
Yeah, go with it. Yeah, I
lean into it.
Yeah,
I contend that it's better to notice nothing than everything. And there's more advantage.
I will
nothing.
not disagree with that. As a person where I can feel every little thing in my body, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
I would take that. If you told me tomorrow, if I gave you $10,000, I could shut that off inside my body, I would take that out of my bank account. Do it right now.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Oh, it's it drives Crystal crazy noticing everything. Like I'm like, no way to live. Just wander around like me. Notice nothing.
You go to bed, I feel my heartbeat in my pinky.
But
you know what I mean? It's like weird.
I do tell her like if you notice nothing, I will tell my sons if you do have this thing that I have and you notice nothing, don't marry anyone that notices everything. Bad match. Nah, not good. Yin yang. No.
That's
good.
a yang yang. You don't ever.
See you later. Welcome back to Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan.
So unless you've been living underneath a rock, you've seen at least the memes about 2020, who picked Double Hurricane, what is that, Cabin in the Woods meme.
I don't even remember anything like a double hurricane. My God.
Apparently it has happened before. But anyway, to talk about that and all things weather from Mike's weather page. And you can, look at spaghettymodels.com if you want to go to the website. We've got Mike from Mike's weather page. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, man. I love it. I need to break from the traffic, so let's jam a little bit.
Yeah. So, and I mentioned it, but I'm sure you, and obviously I follow you, so I've been watching the forecasts and the projections and everything, but let's talk about double hurricanes. A lot of people...
This has been an interesting follow, man.
Yeah, a lot of people have never seen it before. I haven't, but it has happened before, correct?
Yeah, I think it was like in the 30s the last time we've had two systems, so it's very rare, and you definitely made the headlines, right? 2020, it was like overload, and what's ironic is our first one actually fizzled, we had hurricane warnings just 2 nights ago, and then in 24 hours it fizzled. So it was a big kind of blow for all the models and forecasts. So now we have a real one coming. That's ended up going to be a major hurricane. So the storyline shifted from like high, low. Now we're like back. Oh my, huffing and puffing, panicking because it's a pretty serious hurricane heading towards Texas, Louisiana right now.
Yeah, and it seemed like it got serious real fast. Or is that correct, or is that just how I consumed it?
Well, the storm that we had yesterday, the panhandle of Florida got hit hard, and there was all this shear down in the Gulf that just completely ripped Marco apart. So that stole a lot of headlines because we had hurricane warnings up in Louisiana and stretching into parts of the upper Gulf, and that never materialized. So we had, everybody gets mad about it, and I think this little guy was forgotten about, Laura, and now it's out in the Atlantic or middle of the Gulf, and they're expecting a major hurricane. So they're taking it serious out there, as they should. But, we don't get a lot of major hurricane landfalls in the United States. And this, major hurricanes create memorable storms. Usually they get retired. And that's what we're watching unfold right now, unfortunately.
Gotcha. So, Mike, with the other hurricane and the other system, what caused it to de-escalate so quickly? And why weren't the models able to predict that, like the fact that it wouldn't, continue to strengthen and it would basically break apart?
Well, we had this dip in the jet stream the last few days, and there was a lot of shear coming out of the southwest, high upper level winds. When our system, Marco, ran right into that. And really it was confusing me because usually when you have a lot of high level shear, your systems can't intensify. So what indeed happened was the shear basically took the tops of the clouds and blew them apart, and all that energy ended up in the panhandle. And those folks were like, "What the hell?" They weren't even in the cone, and there was record rainfall and tornadoes all through the night last night, and so the shear blew that one apart. I'm really thinking the models underestimated the power of shear, and that same shear now is moving off towards Texas, leaving up a big high pressure dome over the Gulf. And like we have today, and we have heat advisories for Florida indicating that we have a big, strong high pressure, and that's what's driving Laura basically northwest into Texas, Louisiana.
So, Mike, speaking of the Gulf of Mexico, is that the hottest body of water around us? Like, that gets hotter than the Atlantic because it's just sitting there. I know that's where the Gulf Stream comes from. The warm water comes around there, around Florida and everything. But it's basically, even though it's super deep, but it's a giant body of water that's just baking in the sun and the heat. And does it get hotter than normal
ocean
temperature?
The Chattahoochee gets hotter than a hoochie coochie. I know that.
Way down yonder.
Yeah. Oh, Mike, he's familiar. That's right. That's right.
I posted that on one of my memes one time. Late night drinking posted this. It gets me in trouble on Facebook.
Look, I'll drink whiskey with you and listen to Alan Jackson. No problem.
Hell yeah.
He's the man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big, tall guy. Actually.
Yeah, and a good water skier.
I see that. Looks good in a Speedo, I hear. We won't go there. I got to get a reaction out of you.
I love it.
Yeah. No, anyway, so back to the Gulf. So the Gulf is extra hot, and a lot of it is because it's shallower than the Atlantic, like you mentioned. The Atlantic's, very deep. It always has this uprising of cool water, and that keeps the Atlantic temperatures down, and that's why the Gulf and the Western Caribbean are so hot spots, because it is a little shallower, and we do have that Gulf Stream. Shallow waters is like what Dorian sat on top of last year and was able to intensify. And there's this weird phenomenon. These little loop eddies that spin around the Gulf have been discovered over the last few years. They're actually like little rivers of warm water, and they fuel hurricanes extra because they're spinning rivers of warmer water that actually exists in the Gulf of Mexico. It's like when you see a meandering river that you learn in geography in school, and all of a sudden the Mississippi makes a new path. You're left with like a little extension of the river there.
Yeah.
That's these little loop eddies. The Gulf Stream breaks off, makes a new little river, and these little loop eddies end up spinning off in the Gulf, and there's maps that show it. But Hurricane Michael had one. Harvey, which we're nearing an anniversary date for Harvey, it had one. So that's why the Gulf can produce these last second blow-ups. This is that extra hot water that's fueled, down there and it's spinning around. It's crazy. Weird phenomenon.
So, Mike, speaking of weird phenomenons, like there was a lot of talk before, and obviously it didn't happen, about the two hurricanes literally crashing into each other. And has that ever happened? And if it did, what would happen?
Well, it does happen quite a bit. I guess out in the Pacific side.
That's how demons are made, right?
it's not as it's not. It's called a Fujiwara effect. It's actually a real scientist discovered it, and the best analogy that I saw is almost like they're two magnets bouncing off each other. They'll dance around each other. They don't become one if they're equal size. So if Marco and Laura were indeed in the Gulf at the same time, Marco would probably get pushed off more west. Laura would have got pushed off maybe more to the east. The only time like a little one, if you had a bigger one, like a big bully hurricane, it would suck up the little guy and make a bigger system. And that's happened before. There's satellite imagery showing that. So it's kind of like a battle of the fittest. And if they're equal size, it's they can't absorb each other.
Huh.
It's really odd. But it's called the Fujiwara effect. It's a real deal. Could happen.
So what do we or what do you expect this hurricane to when it reaches landfall?
When it does hit.
Well, there's models predicting stronger than what the NHC is predicting. So anytime you get a major hurricane, we're going to see incredible amounts of surge. I mean, they're already predicting 13, 14 foot spots. You figure that out. I mean, that's way up there.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's serious surge levels, 13 foot. And then you have inland power outages. People don't realize, but this storm isn't going to slow down. It's going to keep on, cruising through the north. So we're going to have power outages all the way through Arkansas. There's going to be people that are affected by this that had no idea, because so much interest is always put towards the coast that we forget about the inland effects. And the inland effects with a system like this, if it does hit the coast at 115 plus, it's going to take time to weaken. So there'll be people in Arkansas that could still see hurricane winds. And so that'll be a big story. And, of course, just the winds themselves. I mean, once you start reaching 140-mile-an-hour wind gusts, we'll have a lot of structural damages. It's a serious deal. This will be when you wake up Thursday morning. This is going to hit Wednesday night and Thursday early overnight. We'll be flipping on the news, and you'll be seeing some pretty rough video probably.
And how long does it usually take a hurricane to dissipate once it's over land? It depends on how fast it's traveling too, right?
Yeah. Every storm's different, but it's just the stronger it is, the slower it takes. I mean, you don't go from 115. It doesn't stop on a dime. It's going to be a slow. They'll have a hurricane little circle, up 50 to 100 miles, and we've seen that in Florida here with Charlie. I think Charlie maintained a hurricane status all the way through the state. So they can trek along 150 miles or so still as a hurricane. And then, this sucker's going to turn and go through Carolinas and Virginia, and it's going to be a rainy weekend up in the Northeast because it's going to still be chugging along as a depression in Kentucky. I'm looking at it right now. So we're going to have a tropical depression in Kentucky on Saturday. So there'll be some moonshine stills, party, fire pit, talking about that one.
Yeah. Those are crazy.
That's insane.
You're having tropical weather in Kentucky. So, Mike, it seems, and I guess this is my last question, like from all of us watching hurricanes for our whole lives, we see them starting as depressions, and it makes, slowly ticks up. And then it's either going to curve away from us or go under. If we're looking at Florida, because that's obviously where we're living, so it's like under or away. And then every once in a while you get the God right
here
through.
It comes, yeah.
And so
it's like bowling.
Statistically, and I don't know if you know this offhand, Mike, but is statistically most likely the storm going to go away or under? Like the likelihood of it hitting us is actually less than it going away and under, right? So it's better chance of them not hitting us than hitting us, right?
Well, yeah. And the 3-day cone that the NHC puts out, they're afraid to go past 3 days because so much can change, and just a 1 or 2 degree deviation on the future path, it affects a totally different, area who gets hit. So the thing that people like to track, including myself, is the highs and the lows. It's all about the high pressures and the low pressures. And what happened this weekend with Marco and Laura here? Originally, they were supposed to cut through the state, Florida, and we had a little front up in the Great Lakes states. Well, the models were assuming that front was going to be strong. The Bermuda high pressure that sits over the Atlantic was supposed to be weak. All these models had our storms curving up into Florida and the upper Gulf. Well, the high pressure built in faster than they expected. Old school Floridians talk about the strong Bermuda high years. It's been hot this year under a heat advisory. Well, that Bermuda high built in quicker than any model predicted.
Right, yeah.
They kept shoving our systems farther to the west. And it's still happening today. The hurricane hunters are out there, and they're reading the upper atmosphere. They're finding out that the high pressure is stronger than they thought, and that's just driving our system closer to that Texas, Louisiana landfall. And it's frustrating for the forecasters. So you got to look at more like a bigger picture sometimes. And usually, if you're in the 5 days out, if you got the center line, like you said, it's probably not going to hit you.
So would you say, Mike, that nowadays, based on current times, that it seems to me like Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas has more probable or more of a probability to get hit by hurricanes?
It seems more popular as I've gotten older than it did when I was a child.
Yeah, than Florida, because we're known as like, oh, Florida, you get hit by hurricanes all the time. And we're like, well, if you think about it, it's Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, they're getting hit a lot more, it seems like, than us. Have you seen that, or am I just looking at
I have some interesting graphs on that. I think everybody gets their share, and it's I'm looking at the map. Obviously, you can't see it on, but you're right. It's other than South Florida, middle Florida on both sides of the coast, especially Jacksonville and maybe Palm Beach North, a lot lower over the last 120 years than the Gulf. And a lot of it's because of this bend. When the storms come up through the Atlantic, they just don't stop and then they go back northeast. It's a slow bend. That's because of the Bermuda high pressure is so strong. So you'll see them come through maybe South Florida, and then they continue on towards the upper Gulf. So you don't get like this, stop at a dead right turn to the north. Irma kind of did that, but it's very rare. Usually that's why the North Carolina coast more and the Gulf is more, because these systems, this is slow bend, and Florida's kind of, especially the west coast of Florida's got a little. It's kind of hard for a storm to turn back and do a 180. And they call it the Tampa Shield. Tampa people think that there's a mysterious Indian mound that shields all hurricanes away, and that's why we don't get them here.
Yeah, that's interesting, because you're right. If they go under Florida and they curve back up, they're hitting Louisiana or whatever, or the Panhandle. They're never going to curve. And this has happened, like we saw with like Charlie. But I think that started in the Gulf, right?
That's exactly. Well, you remember we're coming up on Katrina's date, and Katrina's all the dates seem like they're right around now. But Andrew cut through the state of Florida, continued on. Katrina went, through Florida. Believe it or not, it was the storyline with Katrina was obviously upper Gulf, but it did cut through Florida and continued on. But back to what you said about Charlie. Florida's biggest threat seems like it's later in the season hurricanes when they form in the Western Caribbean and they actually come up straight from the south, and then they do that turn. So that's usually the time that the Florida West Coast has to worry, because the storms form in the Western Caribbean, then they get sucked up, they pull, and then they make that turn through the state. But this peak of season, the Cape Verde style waves are generally just shoving themselves westward. So
anything can happen once they come off the west. But you do bring up a good point. So, like, every hurricane season is not necessarily it shouldn't be created equal as far as like time wise. Like September, later September, that's when it seems like maybe Florida has the biggest risk of taking direct hits, because all the shears and everything is adds up.
It's almost like a perfect.
Yeah.
Conditions are more ideal.
Yeah, to it hitting us more. Like, I remember with Hurricane Andrew, it was so weird because it came straight and never deviated, just straight
came right through.
And that's what Dorian did. Dorian had that high pressure dominated, and it allowed nowhere to go, and it shoved it right through Florida. And same thing we saw, like I said, with Dorian last year hit a brick wall. It's so fascinating to watch these things. The year 2004, we had Gene and Francis came across almost the exact same path, because that high pressure was kind of established. And, the high pressure this year seems to be a little bit stronger, so we might see these waves make their way, towards Florida, towards the Gulf. That was some of the long range predictions. Is that high this year could be a little stronger than normal, and we'll find out soon enough, because September is typically when these waves start coming across, and we're starting to see one 1st of September, and this is not the end. It's only the beginning, unfortunately, for the next month.
And it's been spicy.
Yeah, and of course, we'll be talking to you as new systems.
I feel more comfortable talking to Mike. I don't know about you, but now that we're talking to Mike about weather and stuff, I feel more at ease.
Well, it's the way you present it, Mike, and anybody that wants to follow Mike's weather page on Facebook or go to spaghettimodels.com. Obviously, if you want to hear from Mike, follow his Facebook page. But you present it in a calm, normal guy way.
It's an everyman's guide to non-hyped weather.
Yeah. You're not, you got your business shirt pulled up, and you mean business.
You're
now.
not standing, but he's not standing out in the sea watching trash blow around and trying to scare us.
Yeah. Also, all the editing and the intros and outros are showing devastation from Hurricane Andrew, and you're like, why are you showing that? We're talking about a tropical storm, and you're showing devastation from a Category 5 monster. Like, you're scaring people.
I told Mike this last time, man. I got really mad at Weather Channel when they started throwing around COVID cane, because I was like, you're just saying that to I actually wrote him an email, man. I did, and I don't do that kind of stuff, but I was just like, this is the kind of stuff that makes my mom cry. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they love it. I mean, and what happened yesterday with this Marco, that whole upper Gulf Coast, the cry wolf. I mean, I'm not blaming the forecasters on it, but they had their people up there, 24 hours a day showing the hurricane coming, and then 24 hours later it dissipates, and they didn't even get a cloud up there. So it makes people really mad, and it sucks. Like, you overhype and nothing comes, and then you underhype and something does come.
Yeah, and you can never be too prepared. But just give me the facts, and then I'll determine what I'm gonna do. But I need the facts for me to correctly determine. If you give me scared facts or something that's heightened,
well, you're skewing how I feel now.
Then I'm gonna board up my business, and then when nothing happens, I'm gonna be mad. And then next time, I'm gonna be less likely to prepare because I'm gonna be mad from the first time. And it's all because I didn't have the correct facts.
Just be smart.
So
no, you're totally right. And that's the number one thing I hear with people. They just want the facts. They want to know the what if. And that's kind of the coolness of it with the internet. I think, like you said, though, I do see people come and do what I do, and they hype more words like deadly, concern, devastating. Your emotions can control people, and I think the media has found that out in different ways. So the tone, obviously, for Texas and Louisiana, though, is a little serious right now. And anytime you get a major hurricane, it's serious business. So. We'll be watching that one, and it's amazing. Like, on my site, I had people put a picture of a map. Hey, I live right here, and it's exactly where the cone is, and I'm like, oh my God! It makes you realize there's, we're not dealing with it in Florida, but then it kind of puts you in their shoes. Like, well, we actually have people that are like us over there, looking at a Cat 3 hurricane and be there in a day and a half. It's like, wow, like, what are they going through? Like, plywood and. It's like we're kind of resting, kicking back, having some seltzers, and they're over there preparing, what we wouldn't ever need here in Florida. I mean, Cat 3, a Cat 3 in Tampa could bring storm surge and make Pinellas County an island. I mean, that's a real life deal. So, we're definitely thinking of them all out there, and
for sure.
It's also worse too. Like, we all see the Bahamas get it so bad all the time. But
my heart breaks for those people, and they're still dealing with stuff that happened last year.
Oh, from Dorian, yeah, for sure. But since they get it all the time, they are more used to it and more prepared for that. When a storm, a bad, like anything above Category 3 or 3, hits a place that hasn't gotten a storm in a long time.
That's scary.
What the worst part about it is all their trees. The same thing that happened with us with Charlie is that a Category 1 hurricane hadn't come through Central Florida in a long time, and it just knocked down all the overgrowth that we hadn't trimmed back in a while. And
it had been a minute.
It killed our electrical grid, and people were out of power. I was 10 days, Daniel was
30 some.
And it was all because not necessarily the winds were so bad. It was just the winds were just bad enough to push down every big oak tree that were overgrown because we hadn't trimmed them in a while,
prepared.
and that's because we hadn't had a hurricane that long. So anyway, I will tell you that speaking of facts, if you're going to get any fine wine or spirit, you got to go to ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. You know where your local ABC is. If you buy anything, use hashtag TDABC. Go ahead and tag Mike in there too. ABC is one of his sponsors, and we all love ABC.
Yeah. Great folks.
Heck yeah, they're great. Now, when this storm passes, you know where I'm going to be Thursday night.
100%.
We know.
I haven't been able to be a drunk donkey in over a week.
Oh, okay, we can change that. We'll get you prepared.
Well, Mike,
but real quick, you brought up real quick, but you're so right about the trees. I have some arborist friends, and it's like nature's pruning these hurricanes. It's kind of a natural, phenomenon with these trees. They overgrow. But with the power grids, like you said, that's why we're going to, we see. That's the number one thing that surprises people after a storm is the power outages that will go inland. People don't think about that, and it's the rain and the wind, and these are the after effects a lot of people aren't prepared for. Is weeks without power. So always keep that back of your mind.
And I remember being outside in Charlie and being like, well, it's not that bad. Yeah. But it's just enough. It saturates the ground, and then it just pushes trees over. The root system's still intact. It just slowly pushes.
And then they block roadways, and people can't get back there. The trees are immense, and they just fall slowly.
Yeah, and then all the power companies can't get out on these roads to fix the lines, and there's too many lines down, and then you're out of power for 2 weeks, and it's miserable. And you're like, well, the hurricane wasn't even that bad. But, you forget, like,
only takes a little bit.
Yeah. And you knock down 1,000 trees in a community, and it's too much.
You think about it, a nail in your tire is not that much to stop a giant vehicle, right? It doesn't take much.
Well, the ant and the elephant joke or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah.
Well,
I know.
I know that joke, Mike.
Yeah. we can't tell that one. Oh, my God.
I'm another joke.
I'm joking.
There. I don't know.
It's like the duck who goes in the store to buy some condoms and
then
put it on my bill.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm full of them. I've got too many of them.
Hey, by the way, Drew Garabro had me on a few times, and he's always propping you all, so that was
cool. Drew's been a good friend of ours for many, many years, so next time you're on there, just give him a shout right back.
Yep.
Yeah, I will. Hopefully not talking hurricanes hitting Florida.
Yeah. Well, we love you, man. It's always good to check in with you, and please give all of your team, which is basically you, some more love from all of us, man, and we hope to check in with you very soon.
All right, y'all. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Thanks,
See
Mike.
you, man.
See ya.
That is our buddy Mike.
Yeah.
Mike's weather page, spaghettimodels.com.
He does give you some really just straight facts.
It makes me feel better about it. I feel more prepared and not as because nobody should be like
I am dreading if a storm comes. I just don't want to deal with this.
Your power going out?
Well, that mixed with COVID, and it's just like going to be a huge pain in the ass. You know what I'm saying? Especially like the power is the worst. Yeah. It's just
Norm in our Twitch chat room said he went without power for 10 days.
Yeah,
bad.
That was 10 days too.
And Norm's a bigger guy, and I feel like for the bigger people, it's harder to go without power.
Yeah. And it's always like the first day you have good weather because the hurricane.
And
then you're like, this is not
Sucks
that bad.
all the humidity out. Yeah,
2 days later,
this is great. I can live like this forever.
Yeah. Then 2 days later, you're like, oh God,
please.
It's so wet inside my house.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if COVID would be worse than what I was dealing with when Charlie. And all those, that's when I did 30, I want to say I did 37 days.
Well, that's way worse.
But I also had a girlfriend I was dating at the time who cheated on me. And we were deciding, we were in the middle of like splitting up. And I just gave her the house with the generator, and I just went to a hotel and I stayed there.
No, yeah. That was when Clear Channel was giving out the hotels for people.
No, I paid for this one.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this was because it was a bad, it was bad.
Yeah.
Like a hurricane outside, I'm crying into a pillow. Oh, I'm so sad. You never loved me. It's storming outside.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll do some Who's Porkin'. Welcome back to Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan, and it is the time on the show during the week where we do this. Oh, what happened? I hate that.
Oh yeah, it's a macho man and he's singing on the Porky theme song. Dig it! Oh yeah. Samantha's got some big old body slammers.
Come on.
Trying to crack Tom up. Oh yeah, dig it! Snap into it! Miss Elizabeth. Oh yeah. Oh, Porky.
Love Porky!
Oh, yeah!
Who's Porkin'? Brought to you by Porky's Barbecue in Apopka. You can go get some delicious, awesome.
What the hell is that?
Porky's Apopka. Also, is that the least surprising death, Macho Man? If you said...
No, that was pretty surprising because his was just a car accident.
Yeah.
No, I think
he had a heart attack, then a car accident.
Yeah. But if you said before Macho Man died, if you didn't know anything else about him and you just watched him talk, you'd be like, this guy will die of a heart attack and crash his Jeep into a tree.
You did this bit 4 years ago.
Oh, no.
We made a tune about it.
Sorry.
The one before that, though?
Only got about 10 things.
Yeah. I know. I only
it's 12 topics.
We're
back to
10.
Macho Man.
I only got 6 voices.
Oh, no. We're starting the rotation again.
Yep, let's do it again.
Back to the beginning.
All right.
They forgot. It's
Bring
been a
in
while.
Fat John. Put the nuggets on the table.
Yeah. We got 20 more years, then can't do it.
No, we have to start a podcast to help us escape from this podcast. Then we exit to that podcast.
Yeah.
Then Samantha tries to shut this the other podcast down.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then we go
It's
through
something.
legal battles.
Yeah, you know.
A lot of we're throwing barbs everywhere.
All right, what do we got here?
Okay, so this week, Sheena Shea. Anyone familiar with Sheena Shea?
It sounds like somebody with a lisp couldn't say that name.
Yeah.
Not
Sheena
sure.
Shea.
But she is on Vanderpump Rules. You guys know about that reality show? I think it's on E or Bravo. One of those channels.
I am familiar with the name, but when people say it, I think porno. Because I think pumping. And I think, and then whenever anybody says it, they're like, Vanderpump Rules. And I'm like, yeah, pumping does rule, bro. That's the first thought I have.
I want a Vanderpump, too.
Yeah. You're the Vanderpumper.
I don't,
I am Tom Vanderpumper.
What is it?
What is what? Vanderpump Rules?
Yeah.
I've never watched it, but it's a reality show. Again, I believe it's on either E or Bravo, one of those channels. And I think it's kind of like a Kardashian situation where there's like the main lady and then a bunch of people that work for her, and it's all the interminglings of...
And it's her
their
last
business.
name, Vanderpump?
I'm done with rich
her last
people.
name is Vanderpump.
I'm just done with them. I don't even want to see them. They're not even that interesting.
No.
Let's switch to poor people for a little while.
Oh, poor
well, we
people
did some of that, you know, Honey Boo Boo and all that.
Yeah,
No, I
those are
want more
good
of
That
that.
didn't end well.
Well, because the guys always become some sort of weird pedophile.
But you know what?
Sugar Bear was like a pedophile, wasn't he?
Here's why
I don't know.
Yeah, something happened. Yeah. But here's why it doesn't work. Because you start them off poor and you're filming and it's going well, but then they get rich because of the TV show, and then it ruins them.
You know a show I really enjoy?
We need to film these people, but they don't need to benefit from it.
You know the kid... You know, you can't pay them too much.
No.
You got to undervalue them. You got to undercut
You got to
them.
keep them poor.
Remember the kid that was the Gingers Don't Have Souls kid?
Oh yeah.
The red-haired kid. And then South Park like clowned him, and then
Not really, but
you don't remember that kid? He
Not
had a
really.
show.
It was early social media. That's how we got famous. Or what?
Yeah. But he had a show, and it was like Hillbilly Hollywood or something, and it was like him and his grandma and like his mom and little brother all moved to like L.A. to kind of make it. I enjoyed that show.
Oh, you really?
Yeah, because I enjoyed the family and the grandma. Boy, some of the things that came out of her mouth, hilarious.
So what's about the?
So Sheena Shea recently was on a podcast from Action Park Media's Flashbacks podcast, and she came out and said that years ago, back when John Mayer used to date Jennifer Aniston, that she was a bartender at this restaurant, and they were all partying together. I can't remember if it was Jennifer Aniston's birthday or not. It was some party that they were having, and she was saying that they were like getting real chummy and that they really liked her and they were taking shots together, and she got invited back to Jennifer Aniston's house for an after party.
Sweet.
Ended up not going, but then a few weeks later, John Mayer and Jennifer Aniston split, and he started asking her out, like wanting to date her, Sheena Shea.
Okay.
John Mayer came back and wanted to start dating her.
Really?
However,
that guy gets everybody.
Yeah. My God.
But here's the twist: is that when she brought him home, she was roommates with her best friend Stacey Adams, aka Stacey the bartender from the Hills.
Stacey Adams?
No, she's the bartender from the Hills.
The shoemaker that Snoop Dogg raps about?
And she says that they ended up having a throuple situation, throuple relationship for like 6 months.
What's that?
Where it was like a
three-way couple?
Yeah.
Okay.
Throuple? No.
You don't like it. I know you don't like that term.
It's just an open relationship, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's dedicated to the three people involved.
Yeah.
But there's no way for that to be equal, right?
Well, that's what ended up happening. She said, she's like, I brought, her into this with me with John Mayer, and then he started showing her more attention, so I broke it off.
That's how it works.
Yeah, was it? It works for some people, I guess.
Show me one. I don't know one. Not personally, I don't know one.
They all have to be equally into it, and it's hard to find that level of.
I'm not saying it's not out there, because that would be. It's obviously out there, but I've never seen it in real life.
They need, and the problem is that not everybody's on the same page sometimes, and then someone's making a concession to the other because the other person's more into it than they are. So if you're making a concession and you're not truly into it, it's never going to work out.
Yeah,
if you're both truly into it, then you'll be fine.
It's authentic. You're not doing something for somebody else's benefit. I can't take you seriously right now because of that cut on your lip, and it looks like a Hitler mustache. And having your looks match your ideologies is weird for me.
I told you Tommy cut my lip when we were wrestling.
He did a really nice job of cutting it into a perfect Hitler mustache.
Sheena Shea actually did end up getting fired from said restaurant because you're not supposed to fraternize with the clients. So she got fired for banging John Mayer. Then she ended up
That's worth it, though, I think.
Then she ended up at one of the restaurants that the Vanderpump lady owns, and she's like, so if it wasn't for me,
he's a BDE,
in
right?
a throuple with old John Mayer, I'd never be on this reality show.
Yeah, John Mayer's got that BDE.
Oh, yeah,
like Pete Davidson, right?
I've heard there's some BDE going on.
What is he doing? Because that
throwing it around.
It's long and it's strong and it's down to put the friction on.
But he must know how to use it. Well as too.
He's a musician, dude. All he's got to do is do one of those breathy songs.
Yeah. Is he singing in your face? Why? Like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Like, because people have described, like, he's been with the hottest women on
all
earth.
of them,
and every one of them describes like.
And not only that,
someone said it's a sexual volcano.
I'm gonna give you some. That was Jessica Simpson.
He said that about her.
Yeah, he said it about her. But
sexual napalm.
Sexual napalm. I'll tell you right now, this is the type of guy that it's not just that he gets the girls, right? That's it. But the other part of it is when you pal around with Dave Chappelle. Like, you're the guy that you think girls like you, and you're the guy that guys want to be. You know?
So it's the cool factor mixed with whatever he's doing down there.
He's cool.
Got a hog in his pants. He's making a dance.
Yeah, makes a dance.
And then so you're cool. You're a musician. So all of a sudden, then you're singing some.
And you can do more than Santeria. Like you can you can riff.
Yeah. So he's emotional, cool, and the hog.
And he's smart.
And smart.
He's a smart guy.
You could have a conversation with him. He's not some dodo that's just like a good body dodo.
Yeah.
Because he's not even really that good body. And
he's good body. He's lean.
He's lean, but he's not like ripped like a model. And
he's fit.
I think he's fit. I think you'd be surprised. I think if you saw him nude, you'd be like, ooh la la.
Every time I've seen John Mayer with his shirt off or whatever, he's like he's fit, but he's not ripped.
Every time I've seen him with his shirt off, I can't really see because there's tears in my eyes.
He looks pretty good on the cover of Rolling Stone.
He
used to be super like skinny and lanky, but he beefed up.
Yeah.
He's a good-looking dude, and he
God
can sing
damn
really
you, John
good,
Mayer.
and he
You
can play
got it
guitar really good. Like he can play blues guitar really good.
Yeah,
This guy.
I've said this for years.
He's got the suave hair, the big lips.
He's one of the best guitarists and songwriters, I think, of our generation.
Let's not deny the fact that even like let's say the first chick he was with that was like super famous and hot,
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
That's who I think of too.
Mhm.
And once you have someone on that caliber, which she was super big at the time, more girls in that kind of class, he's got something. And then so then he just starts getting Katy Perry and Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, and then you and I did it wrong. I mean, we started with the garbage people, and once you go garbage, you always get garbage. And here we are.
Yeah.
They don't listen. It's fine. I think I can speak for you.
Standing on Mount Trashmore.
Yeah.
But so. And it's interesting because all the women he's been with don't really talk that much. At least I don't know.
They do.
No, they do.
They talk trash about him?
Yeah, like mentally and abusive, and manipulative.
Like I think Taylor Swift. I mean, if you read through the lines and read some of the stuff she wrote about, which by the way, I'm not. She's not the most beautiful, but she's really, really pretty, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she is an acquired taste, I think, for some people because there's like almost like a little girl look there.
Yeah.
And
To me,
but
I never
think
found
she's
her
very pretty. You know,
she is very pretty, but I don't like someone that's skinny and that young looking.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I like some meat on my woman.
Okay, this is a terrible thing to say. But who is the least attractive person that John Mayer has been in a relationship with?
Okay,
I'll have to look up a
Now,
list of his
obviously,
exes.
this is according to us.
Yeah, and they're all like, let's just be honest, tens in societal terms. Like they're all the most famous actresses.
Yeah, without
and,
a doubt.
And
By the way,
singers.
I'm going to point out that this is an extremely horrible and judgmental question to ask.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm just going to, but that's what we do here.
Yeah.
Right?
So let's go through the list and let's see if we can figure out the ugliest
God.
out of all of them.
This is the fun
the
game.
worst one because they're all.
I think of the best and most judgmental game shows.
They're all up there as like tens. Like God.
Vanessa Carlton.
Oh, she's hot.
Jessica Simpson.
Hot.
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston.
Hot.
Taylor Swift.
Hot.
Katy Perry.
Hot.
Wow.
Jennifer Love Hewitt. We said that.
Really hot.
Yeah.
Big butt too. She's Jennifer Love Hewitt. When she got older, she got that big.
Oh yeah.
She's she's got looks better than ever. I
And
think.
Jessica Simpson.
Man.
Out of all,
Katy Perry.
yeah, but she's got big cupcakes.
No, that's what I'm saying. Katy Perry's like one of the hottest ones. I think.
Yeah. And maybe Taylor Swift, if you just go in the terms of like
Minka Kelly, I guess, also dated him.
Who's that? Minka Kelly.
She was in Friday Night Lights.
Oh, okay.
No, she's gorgeous.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. We're not gonna find like
I don't know that he's ever dated an unattractive woman.
Look, there you go. She's a hideous witch.
It's this guy. What is he doing?
I'm telling you.
Although recently, I don't know that anyone really. Like I said, I think his reputation's been a bit tarnished now. That women are coming out and saying what a d-bag he is.
Yeah.
But still, do you, in the back of your mind, like say you're an A-list celebrity or musician or whatever.
Oh, he also dated Cameron Diaz.
Oh,
I forgot about that. I remember that.
God, this guy.
Yeah, he's the
Rashida Jones in 2009.
Rashida Jones.
Let me see Rashida Jones.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, she is gorgeous.
Kristen Cavallari in 2009.
Oh, this guy is
Kim Kardashian in 2010.
I spelled her name wrong, but
sort of dated.
Dude, you absolutely know who Rashida Jones is. Not only is she gorgeous, but she's hilariously funny.
Rumored to have
from The Office.
Yes.
Yeah, rumored to have dated Miley Cyrus in 2011.
Jim's ex from The Office.
Yeah, I always thought she was just really,
super hot.
really hot.
Renee Zellweger in 2011.
Well, that's the one. I think Christine said that. Christine
Demi
wins.
Lovato in 2016.
Look up Renee Zellweger.
I always thought Renee Zellweger was attractive, but some people say she has a fart face.
Yeah, I don't find her very attractive, but
maybe Renee Zellweger is the out of all of them. I mean, you're still an A-list at one time actress.
So weird. I can't type Zellweger into your computer without it defaulting to something else. What have you been searching?
Yeah, you're right. She does have a little bit, but still,
it's like fart face. It's like smells of fart.
She's still
nobody ever slut shames John Mayer.
They should.
He's She's gotten around, man.
Oh yeah. Well, it's the.
Wow, Christine for the win on the Renee Zellweger.
Yeah, she may.
And she's still a 9, I think.
Yeah, maybe she's a famous actress and stuff. Like even just based on accomplishments and like.
How has there not been a D pic of John Mayer out there yet?
It's out there.
Is there?
I just Googled it.
No, I mean, Samantha's in it. She getting horny over here.
Well, because you made a good
second.
point. Like, of course, there's got to be something else there, right?
Yeah, for like
For
this
all
many.
these super
I
hot
was trying
famous
not
chicks?
to go negative on the guy because I think the girls have said enough. They say controlling, manipulative, playing
Right.
mind games. I think mind games comes up a lot.
Right.
A lot. That's bad. Don't be doing that. But the good things, the attractive things are he is a good-looking guy. He is, I hate to say it, but he's a tall guy.
Good
He's not like he's
musician.
Vern Troyer.
Yeah.
Good musician, poet.
I mean, now
creative.
he's rich, so
Yeah.
that helps.
Oh, he's
mega rich.
Yeah. And the pedigree of women he's been with
Right.
makes a difference.
Yeah.
Because
It does.
Because you're sitting there, you're
If
like,
he's a chef, he's worked at all the best restaurants.
if you've been with
That's
all
a
these women,
horrible way to put it.
you're
but-
like, why? It's the mystery. The same thing we're like, I think women get with him because they're trying to solve the mystery of why he gets so many women of this caliber,
yeah.
right?
But
You're
Vern
like,
Troyer used to get a lot of women too because they're curious.
Yeah.
Daddy Longneck gets a lot of women because they're curious.
Yeah, but he's getting.
I started following him again, and it's porno crazy. I had to unfollow again.
He's getting the, the Instagram trash. Anyway, so good for him. Even though I guess he's a bad guy. Although,
He may not be a bad guy. He may just be damaged and doesn't handle relationships well.
Yeah, being manipulative and like controlling. I feel like
That's not good.
A lot of guys are like that though. It's like as long as you're not violent or so,
I remember a
character
long,
flaw.
long time ago, back when he was on one of these local cable access channels before he was famous at all. Like I'd never even heard of him, and he was just playing at like UCF, like in the cafeteria or something. And this lady did an interview with him, who went on to do like Fuse, like she went on to do some big stuff, and he was very cringy. Like he was hitting on her crazy when she was trying to interview him, and it was kind of like, calm down, bro.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to be super horny, right? If you're like, there's a reason why he's been
Or
with
you
so
would
many
never
women.
act on it. Yeah.
Or he would have a long-term relationship, and then we'd never hear about this. But he's obviously he's playing this game. He's running
I'm
through.
like, I call myself, like when people ask me, like even Juan, I think he asked this question, like, how would you describe me? And I tell people, I go, I'm like John Mayer, but just the bad part.
all the
And
bad
people go,
parts of John Mayer.
and I'm like, yeah.
I'm like the opposite of everything about him.
Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. But it's still close because it's the exact. Got nothing. Oh, bye.